Anna Yilta Ohavenda Hesha. Can't you understand me?
No.
Mind-expanding sundown sporting discourse for witches, kebab van owners...
You want some chili sauce with that?
...and washed-up burglars too fat to fit through your cat flap.
You great fat thieving lumper lad!
Cult listening worth staying awake for. Oh, I'm sorry, I'll read that again. Oh no, I was right the first time. The two mics on Talk Sport.
Look at the light!
Air dryer! Nobody's ever seen a white rhino, so it doesn't matter.
Well, people have seen them.
No, nobody's ever seen, like, a dinosaur, but we still, revere dinosaurs, so we'd still revere the white rhino, even if there weren't any white rhinos, so it doesn't really matter if the white rhino dies.
This is Talk Sport. I'm Mike Graham. It's time to say a very, very good morning to Mr. Michael Porky Parry. Very good morning to you, Mr. Parry.
Well, it's not much of a good morning, is it, when you open the show with a complete falsehood?
What do you mean?
What
falsehood?
How do you
What's
know?
false?
Where did you get the information from that Romelu Lukaku,
yes,
wants to play Champions League football, quotes, in your words, for somebody else?
Well, because he said it in an interview a couple of years ago.
You're a complete misleader.
No, he said he wanted to play Champions League football.
He didn't say with somebody else.
Of course he did. He said
not.
That was why he wanted to leave Everton.
He did not say that.
He said it a couple of years ago.
How dare you say that?
Do you want me to find the interview for you?
You can find the interview as much as you like, mate, but it won't say anything like that.
There was a bit of a stramash about it at the time.
No, there was not a stramash about it.
Roberto Martinez had to come out and say, obviously sometimes he says things in interviews that he doesn't mean. Do you remember?
If he said he wants to play Champions League football, that's because he's an ambitious young footballer.
So he's with
of course I do. Yeah. And he's with an ambitious club who will play Champions League football.
Well, they're not going to play it next year,
and
are
all
they?
These ridiculous stories
they're
you're
not going to play it
to,
next year.
Or I didn't say it was next year. All these ridiculous stories you're referring to. Romelu Lukaku owed £65 million. Who's going to pay £65 million for him?
Well, that's why I said Everton have put a price tag of £65 million on him to try and stop him from going.
If he went, he'd go for £80 million. I keep telling you that. John Stones will go for £80 million.
No, John Stones not going for anywhere near that.
I heard some ridiculous equation being put together earlier on this evening about, Romelu Lukaku and John Stones could go to Manchester United for £100 million. What? If Romelu Lukaku's worth 65, that values John Stones at 35 million.
Well, maybe before this season, before he started tripping people up all the time.
John Stones is worth twice that. John Stones
is worth...
So. Oh, John Stones will go for 80 million when he goes.
According to reports that I'm seeing...
According to reports you're seeing? Where are you getting these reports from?
Well, I can tell you later where I'm getting the reports from.
No, you can't. You can tell me now.
But they're from many of your esteemed former colleagues in the newspaper business, right? Mm-hmm. And I presume that you would wish to suddenly say that these reports are not correct.
I'm not saying they're not correct.
Because whenever you do, your paper review with Mr. Brazil, you always introduce all the stories that you talk about as being written by, one of the finest newspaper reporters of his time, one of the greatest sports.
Well, if the author of the piece I'm looking at is one of the greatest of all times, then of the greatest of the present time, I happen to say it. That's because of my depth of knowledge and experience in Fleet Street, and the fact that I was always acknowledged as a master craftsman and a master wordsmith.
Yeah, of course you were.
What do you mean, of course you were?
Just ask Kate Adie.
Sorry?
Just ask Kate Adie.
What's Kate Adie got to do with it?
She was the one who sued you for writing falsehoods about it.
I did not write falsehoods about it. I did not. I was encouraged by my editor at the time, a man who on the particular day had a low moral compass moment, that Kate Adie was culpable of doing things that she didn't actually do.
Yes, indeed. So you did write that then?
Well, although my name appeared on it, I claim to this day that it was a gerrymandering piece.
Yes, indeed.
What the Express wanted was they wanted to put a point of view over, but then, to make it seem mega credible, they wanted the name of a big hitter on it, so they put my name on it, right? Because I was a big hitter, first man...
Surely what they wanted was somebody who would do what he was told.
The first man...
would write any old rubbish that he was told to do because he thought it might advance his career.
The first man to get into Libya after the Americans bombed it.
Were you?
The only man who stood in the face of an F-111 fighter plane sidewinder heading straight for me, the only man who stood in the way of that sort of thing.
There was nobody else there.
The only man who got into the Azizi barracks where Colonel Gaddafi lived and jumped up and down on his bed.
Really?
Literally jumped up and down on his bed. Well, we thought the dictator had been...
Did you think he was still in it?
Eh?
Did you think he was still in it?
No, he wasn't still in it, but everybody was dancing around, waving their rifles around, shooting in the air, saying, oh, Gaddafi is gone, oh, he's been shot. And the story circulated that he'd been shot by his own chiefs in the army.
Hoisted with his own petard.
Taken out to the desert and buried in the desert. So they're all jumping... I was jumping up and down
did you
his
write
bed.
that story as well? Because that wasn't true either, was it?
Well, the problem was I never had time to write it because we were jumping up and down on his bed, and so were a load of Libyan soldiers.
Yes.
When some guy ran into the... this was in his Bedouin tent at the bottom of his garden at the Zizi barracks, and everybody was celebrating and happy and thought we've got a great new future without the tyrant Gaddafi.
But why were you joining in with this celebration?
Well, I felt happy for them.
Really?
And then
Shouldn't you have been interviewing them instead?
Well, I would have done that in a second or two. And then the guy ran in with a very, very strained look on his face and shouted out, and everybody suddenly fled the Bedouin tent.
Right.
But I was still jumping down on the bed.
Oh, okay.
And I said
who was this guy?
Well, he was another member of the elite Republican Guard who thought Gaddafi was dead. But he ran in, gave this announcement.
I thought they were in Iraq, the Republican Guard.
Eh?
I thought they were in Iraq.
Yeah, they were actually, but no.
So what were they doing there?
No. Gaddafi had his own. He had his own mob.
Right.
In fact, he called his mob the Republican Army, I think, or something like that.
I thought all his bodyguards were women, weren't they?
No. That was much later on. These guys were actually soldiers.
Yeah.
But in fact, the guy who'd run in and given it the old, what he'd actually said was, "Bad news, fellas. Gaddafi's still alive. He's on his way back."
Oh dear.
That's why everybody fled. At that moment, I fled as well, actually.
Presumably you fled as well.
I thought I'd better go as well.
Anyway, never mind that. Look, I've got this Romelu Lukaku interview in front of me here, which is in The Guardian, of all places, right?
Guardian.
And the quote from him is, I need to play in Champions League next season.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
This dated Tuesday, the 11th of February, 2014.
Yes.
So nearly a year ago, he exhibited his interest in wanting to play in the Champions League.
Yeah.
He said, I'm turning 21, I've been a professional for 5 years already. It is time. It is high time that I play in the Champions League.
Yes.
It is the next step I need in my development, full stop. Cristiano Ronaldo and Wayne Rooney were experienced already at that level when they were just 22, 24 years old. I want to play Champions League football now. I must show I'm ready for it.
Yeah, OK, I don't object to any of that, but what he was talking about there was the fact that he believed Everton would be in the Champions League next season.
He didn't believe
because we had a fantastic squad and we were heading that direction.
This
so
was
don't
when
worry
he was
about
still
that.
on loan. No, I'm not worried about it. This is when he was still on loan from Chelsea, right? Before Everton had even signed him. He says, I still have 2 years on my contract, and I know Chelsea followed my development. In the end, it depends on what the manager thinks about me. So at that time, he was still hoping to go back to Chelsea. Well, so, I mean, his desire to go and play for somebody other than
you're
Everton
trying to read his mind
is
now.
very clear.
You're trying to read his mind.
Very clear.
The point is, when you read these stories, £65 million, amazing price on Lukaku's head, Everton transfer battle, Lukaku.
Yeah.
What you're really reading there is that Manchester United would like to pay £65 million to Lukaku, but Everton will not sell him.
That's not what I said.
Everton will not sell him for that sort of price.
Are you incapable of understanding what I'm trying to say? What I said to you...
No, I'm very capable of understanding what you're trying to say. You're not capable of understanding what you yourself are trying to say. I'm trying to help you out.
OK, well, have a listen to what I'm about to say this time, right? Everton have put a price of £65 million in an effort to put everybody off because I don't think anyone will want to pay it.
Yes.
That's the point of the story.
And where will that information have come from? It will have come from Manchester United, of course. And Manchester United will have said that because they're under pressure to get a new striker and they know that they will not attract Lukaku because you have just hung yourself by your own petard.
How have I
it
done
is
that?
Very unlikely Manchester United will be playing in the Champions League next season, is it not?
Yeah, well, I don't think they will be.
No, exactly.
But you
said
never
that
know.
Before.
But you never know. But the bottom line is that I don't think he's going to stay at Everton because this guy obviously has ambition.
Oh, you don't know.
He knows that he can't play in the Champions League unless he moves to another club.
You are
and
talking...
Real Madrid are one of the clubs, PSG are one of the clubs, Manchester United are one of the clubs, and maybe even Chelsea. So in the end, he'll go.
You are talking an inverted pyramid of piffle.
Really?
That's all I can say.
Really?
OK? Yeah,
right.
yeah.
You're not going to come up with one of your own, sayings instead of nicking them from Boris Johnson.
What's wrong with that?
It's an inverted pyramid of piffle. That's his copyright.
Are you telling me that you've never used the quote from a great writer of the past 300, 400, 500 years?
Like
you've never quoted Shakespeare?
No, I don't think I have.
You've never quoted Shakespeare?
No, I don't believe so.
Oh, never. Whose original expression was hung by your own petard, which you've just used 2 minutes ago?
Hung by your own petard is one of our phrases that we use all the time.
Yeah, but where did it come from?
It came from Shakespeare.
No, it didn't. It came from Ben Jonson, you bonehead.
Oh,
OK?
Yeah?
So you do quote great writers from the past. You just said you don't, but you do.
I don't. No,
yes,
I quoted
you do.
it because we talk about it all the time.
No. It comes originally from somewhere. Do you know what you are?
What am I?
A cream-faced loon.
Yes, thank you very
Where
much.
Where does that come from?
That's Shakespearean
as
well.
That comes from Macbeth.
Yeah, I know.
Do you know what it means?
Do you want to know
a man of no principle?
Do you want to know the result of winners and losers?
It means a weak man with no principle who is callowed and frightened of his own shadow.
Yes.
Cream-faced loon.
Yeah. Well, I would say that's just more projection from you onto me. You think you're looking into a mirror, but you are not. This is Talk Sport.
Yeah, a shape mirror.
Hawksby and Jacobs.
It's almost as good as my Roy Hodgson.
This afternoon.
Conversation going, of course, as well, because an awful lot of reports this morning linking Romelu Lukaku to an exit from Everton.
Oh, what a rubbish. It's speculation, man.
Well, of course it's speculation.
Wild speculation.
It's a transfer.
He can't be transferred
window.
now until next summer, so what a load of nonsense.
That's not necessarily true. Any number of things can happen.
Sure. You know, it's January the 20th now. It's 10 days to the end of 11 days to the end of the transfer window. Oh, yeah, I can absolutely see it now. Yeah, mounting campaign to get Romelu Lukaku out of Everton. You're mad.
Romelu Lukaku.
Romelu
Anyway, all right.
Lukaku.
Well, I've obviously pricked your ego in some way here, and I've upset you, so I don't want to do that.
No.
So instead, what I will try to do is to placate you by giving you the result of the winners and losers competition.
Yes,
which was held, of course, as per usual, last night on the show at around about 3:30 to 4:45.
Last time I looked, I was leading 52-48. So,
really?
Yeah.
Well, the voting closed at midnight,
yes,
and the results are as follows. 1,653 votes were cast,
yes,
and the result is 51% to me, 49% to you.
What a load of drivel.
So
you've gerrymandered that in the last 10 minutes of the...
No, not at all.
Yes, you have.
No.
That's outrageous. That's ridiculous. I was leading all the way.
No, you weren't.
No, in the last 10 minutes.
No.
That's a nonsense.
Not true. Really? But, I mean, it's nice of you to be so magnanimous in defeat.
Why should I be to a fat cheat like you? Why should I be magnanimous?
Because in the last 2 weeks you won, right?
Yes.
So basically you won. You're 2-1 up now, so I've got one back.
Yes,
so you're still in the lead.
Yes,
I am. So I think you should be not too upset.
Yeah, well, you know, I won't get too upset. I'm going to romp away with that as the season unfolds, or the year unfolds. Now, what about Everton at Carlisle?
What about Everton at Carlisle?
Well, do you know how brilliant this is?
How brilliant is it?
Carlisle have only ever spent one season in the top league, and that was 1974-75.
I remember when they were in the top league.
Yeah, exactly. Everton had won the league championship in 1970. We had that brilliant team that had the Holy Trinity in the midfield, Howard Kendall, Colin Harvey, Alan Ball. Sadly, Alan Ball and Howard Kendall are no longer with us, but fortunately Colin Harvey is.
Right.
And a host of other great players like John Hurst and Joe Royal and... Tommy Wright, our fullback, and Roger Kenyon, our centre half, and all that kind of stuff.
And how successful were Carlisle when they were in the top flight? They're not
this was what I'm about to tell you. So they spent one season in the top flight, right?
Yeah.
In the opening game of the season, we lost to Carlisle.
Right.
And I think that was at home, actually.
Really?
2-1.
Yeah.
Later on in the season, we went to Carlisle and we lost the away game. And guess what?
Yeah.
We got drawn against Carlisle in the third of the FA Cup, and they beat us.
Really?
And then guess what?
So the Carlisle got the sort of the jinx on Everton then?
Guess what happened at the end of the season?
Go on.
Carlisle got relegated.
Wow.
It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
We lost them home and away. We got knocked out of the FA Cup by them, but they got relegated by a mile. I mean, I think
you must have played them since then, right?
No, I don't think we ever have.
Not?
And the point is, it was only 2 points for a win in those days, and I think Carlisle were about 8 points adrift at the bottom. Right. They were so bad, it was unbelievable. Because what happened was, as I recall, they'd had one of these fantastic runs that you could have in those days. They came up from the fourth to the third. To the second. I think they spent 2 seasons in the second, then they got promoted in the first. Right. But then they went down just as fast. In fact, another team did that, you know, in those days. Northampton. Yeah. Northampton, right, who Chester used to play, because when I was about
I don't remember
7.
Northampton being in the first division.
They were. They, honest to God, I promise you. We used to play Northampton down at Sealand Road, the worst football ground in history, which had a cinder track around the outside of it as well as the inside of it, whose stands were falling to pieces. One bloke one time broke his leg because he was going up the steps to the stand. The wooden step gave way and it went straight through. It was like Robinson Crusoe land. And it was the worst ground in the history of football. But Northampton, who were regular visitors, because they were a bum outfit, but like Chester, York, Rochdale... Darlington, Doncaster. These teams were always in the bottom division, always reapplying for status. In those days, you didn't get relegated out the league. You had to apply for re-election. Right. And they always got re-elected. But anyway, the point of the story is, one season, Northampton weren't there. Oh, that's funny. Where have they gone? Oh, they got promoted to the third. Following season, to the second. Following season, to the first. Right. And then in the next 3 seasons, they went down to the second, third and fourth. Wow. It was unbelievable. But Carlisle were one of those teams. Yeah. So
Everton have got them in the FA Cup.
Got them in the FA Cup. Now we're going to travel up there, providing their ground is fit to play football.
Well, is it yet? I don't think it is it?
I think they've been playing in places like Accrington Stanley, in Preston.
They played,
places like this. You know, I mean, it's tough on them.
Blackpool as well. Did they play in Blackpool?
May have played at Blackpool, may have played at Blackpool. So it's tough on them, but fortunately, this mighty club Everton will be able to go up there and provide them with a good source of revenue to help patch up all the damage caused by the floods.
Right.
And I think Everton have been granted 3,200 visiting tickets.
Okay.
It's only just up the M6, so to speak, if you know what I mean. Quite a long way up the M6.
Quite a long way up the M6.
It's in
Although
Cumbria.
it's not really. I mean, it's about, an hour and a half or something?
Yeah, but I think when you get to the M6, turn off for Carlisle, then I think you turn left, it's another 40 or 50 minutes. You know what I mean?
Is it? Right.
I think it's one of those sort of places, A bit like going to Blackpool.
I haven't been to Carlisle for a long time, but, I did go there a few years ago.
Yeah,
my abiding memory of it my daughter was quite young, and they had some kind of affair going on.
Yes.
And she went onto this bouncy castle, and she was about 7 or 8.
Oh, yes.
And the bouncy castle, as she was on it, started to collapse.
Oh, I see.
And luckily, she had the presence of mind to run out of it before it completely collapsed. My daughter, Emma.
Oh, your daughter, Emma.
Yeah.
Right, okay. Yeah. Well, she's a bright girl.
She is. And because, otherwise, I don't know what would have happened. The whole
My
thing would have
brother-in-law
collapsed,
comes from Carlisle.
Does he?
Yeah, an intense man, a man of high intelligence, a man who's been very successful in life. Carlisle's full of people like that. Do you know who else who comes from Carlisle?
Who else comes from Carlisle?
One of England's greatest ever defenders who played in the back four at Ipswich with Mr. Brazil, Trevor Beattie.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, he comes from Carlisle. Yeah.
Okay.
In fact, one time when he felt unhappy at Ipswich, Al was telling me, he ran off.
Yeah.
And they found him in a pub in Carlisle.
Really?
Seriously.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's a good story, isn't it?
Right,
yeah.
let me tell you a few tweets and texts that have come in already.
Right, thank you.
Here's one from Kev in Charlton. After only 15 minutes of the show and hearing Porky explode, I really think I picked the wrong day to give up vodka and Valium.
Yeah, I think you
Cheers,
did.
Porky, says Kev.
Yes, that's okay.
Here's one from O'Doyle, who says, nice to see Porky taking defeat so well.
Yes.
The gerrymanderer on Twitter says this: will winners and losers be extended after Mike Graham committed the ultimate gerrymanderisation and crashed Twitter so Porky's tribe couldn't vote?
Well,
funny enough, did
you have a Twitter problem today?
Well, no, Twitter crashed twice.
Right. Okay, so
the last 2 weeks we've had the unfortunate inside sort of outside interference by a third party into the first vote. The second vote last week we had no podcast.
Yes.
That was why we had to extend the vote. Today or yesterday, Twitter collapsed.
I know. All I got on my screen was, sorry, we have a minor fault, we are correcting it or something like that. Now, that happened on my computer at home, my computer system at home. It didn't happen on my phone. Why is that?
It should have done. Were you able to access it?
Yeah, I was able to access it on my phone.
Well, it basically came in and out. I mean, the first outage was around about 8 o'clock in the morning,
was
I believe.
It? Right, okay.
And then they fixed it, and then it went out again around about 11.
I think Maria Sharapova, who is one of the world's best-looking sportswomen, I only say that not from a sexist point of view, purely as an observation, has just got through in the Australian Open.
Are you sure? She's only won 2 sets.
Oh, hang on. What? Well, but the women only play 3, you idiot. And she's waving to the crowd.
Yeah.
And she has a very fetching orange dress on.
I wouldn't say that's orange.
It is orange.
I would say it's pink.
No, that's not Maria Sharapova, you idiot. That's her opponent.
Well, she's wearing a pink dress.
Yes, and that's her opponent, you fool. If you look on the other side of the big stand where the umpire sits...
Yeah.
See?
Oh, yeah, that is orange, yeah.
Yeah,
right.
I see.
Well, thanks for keeping us updated. What was the score?
Thought you would. It was 2-0.
Right, well, what were the sets? What number of games, though?
One of them was 6-1.
Right.
I think the second one was 6-1.
Right.
I think the first one might have been 6-2. But anyway, it was the most convincing victory.
Oh, good. Well,
she's 6'1" inches.
Is she?
Yeah, and when she wears high heels, which she does often, and I absolutely applaud tall women wearing high heels.
Yeah.
I think.
But you wouldn't want to stand next to a woman who was 6'1" wearing high heels, which would make her about
6'5".
6'4".
6'5" in high heels. I think that'd be magnificent.
She'd be like a foot taller than you.
No. Don't be ridiculous.
You wouldn't want to stand next to her.
Don't be ridiculous. And I think, if you have an imposing physical presence, then there's no point, there's no harm whatsoever in letting people know. Right,
all
now
here's
then.
One from Pete. Pete says,
yes.
Porky got 49% with such poor choices. Thankfully, the Porky tribe gerrymandering failed this week.
No, well, the point is, I think my choices were good. I got lots of compliments about it all.
Yeah.
And I was very happy to say so. Now, I need to tell you about an issue which is rearing its ugly head again.
Yeah.
And it's called drink. Right?
Yeah, well, it's a very good subject to raise. We haven't got a lot of time, though.
No, I know. This is why. Do you know what a drunk...
A lot of people are saying, you sure it wasn't Kevin Beattie?
Yeah, it was Kevin Beattie.
Not Trevor Beattie.
It was Kevin Beattie.
Yeah.
Kevin Beattie. What did I say?
Who's Trevor Beattie, then?
No, I tell you, it was Kevin Beattie and Trevor Wymark, wasn't it?
Trevor Wymark,
Remember Trevor Wymark?
But who was Trevor Beattie?
No, there was no Trevor Beattie. It's Kevin Beattie.
You sure it wasn't maybe an old friend of yours?
It's Kevin Beattie. Years later, I did a dinner with Kevin Beattie, and it was a tribute dinner to Johnny Walk, who was another star of that great Ipswich team.
Indeed.
A Scotsman who went on to play for Liverpool.
Yeah. Ian says, Carlisle didn't knock Everton out of the cup that year. Fulham did. They knocked Carlisle out as well.
No. Carlisle knocked them out in... He's got the wrong season.
Has he?
Carlisle were only there for one season, 74-75, and I'm certain that's a season that Carlisle knocked Everton out the FA Cup.
Right.
Okay?
Oh,
I have no doubt with that. No problem about that. I'm going to tell you about drink in a minute because
we might have to hold on to it.
There's so much we've got to get into the show tonight.
Yeah,
and of course, I want to remind people, because people are still up, they listen to the show, some of them got problems, some stressed out, some are emotional. It is sorry?
And you can help them.
I was about to say, it's Ask Porky, and what time is that coming on?
Well, it'll come on around
in a couple of hours
from now.
Indeed.
But you can post on our Facebook page as well, the Two Mikes, and you can send a tweet at the Two Mikes. Or you can send them to at Mike Parry 8 or at IROMG.
Indeed.
We've got loads coming up. We've got Sandra Lee coming on the show tonight as well.
Tell us about the big shark.
To see what she thinks of the big shark, because she always says, well, I'll still go for a swim. I don't think she wants to go for a swim anywhere near Adelaide at this point.
Exactly.
But we shall see. Lots more to come. This is Talk Sport.
Bienvenue au weekend sports breakfast avec Michelle Quinn and Georgie Bingham, Sir Talk Sport with Benno Vance. It's the breakfast show that cooks up a souffle of sport and a pan au chocolat of pre-match build-up every Saturday and Sunday morning on Talk Sport. The hors d'oeuvre to another big weekend feast of football. Hey, La, does anyone know the French for meat pie? The weekend sports breakfast with Mickey Quinn and Georgie Bingham. Saturday and Sunday mornings from 7 on Talk Sport with Benno Vance. 4 years warranty and roadside assistance as standard. Ooh la la.
Imagine never having to deal with any of the stress of being a landlord. No sneaky rent dodgers, no clumsy key droppers, no void periods. With Northwood, you don't have to imagine. Our guaranteed rent contract for landlords means even if your property's empty, you get paid each and every month. All of the rewards, none of the stress. Northwood, welcome to the brighter side of property. Visit northwooduk.com now.
There is a person who can help deliver aid to the desperate under the most challenging conditions. They can maintain equipment so advanced most don't even know it exists. And they can start by committing just 27 days a year. That person's you. As an RAF reservist, you'll receive world-class training to develop new and existing skills. And you can do it all in your spare time. Find your role as an RAF reservist. Search RAF Recruitment now.
The Barclays Premier League on Talk Sport. 100% football all weekend, every weekend.
Oh my word, he's put it beyond the goalkeeper.
Saturday afternoon from 5. West Ham versus Manchester City.
And they've scored on the counter-attack, Manchester City.
Sunday from 1. Everton versus Swansea.
1-0 Everton. That's the goal that they've been searching for.
Plus, around the grounds with live reports from every game throughout the season. Official partner of the Barclays Premier League. Talks.
Southampton might be the worst. Teetotaler says you obviously haven't been to Cope Bridge, which is Albion Rovers' home ground.
Oh, right.
Which he reckons must be worse. And here's one from John in Prestatyn who says, Porky, I remember standing in the Sealand Road end at Chester. Yeah. The ball would hit the tin roof. The fans would be showered in the rust. Happy times. As the new ground is little more than a cowshed.
No, that's absolutely true. And you know, at the other end, so that was the Sealand Road end, which is near the main road called Sealand Road, believe it or not.
Yeah.
And at the other end, we had what we called the Cop.
Yeah.
Right? But the Cop, in fact, was just, Chester got bombed a little bit during the war, because it was very near to Birkenhead, Liverpool, where...
they were trying to hit the shipbuilding yards.
Trying to hit shipbuilding yards and the ships. So
they hit Chester by mistake?
Well, they just emptied their bombs there sometimes on the way back or something like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it had a little bit, but not much. But anyway, in what they did is... After the war, when Chester didn't have a ground, they got a bulldozer and they just piled up a load of rubble from a bomb site, literally, and then they called it the Cop.
Right. And so you just stood on the rubble?
Well, you just stood on the rubble, really, and some guy,
very safe.
Some local builder brought a few planks along, just stuck the planks on the, the rubble.
There's a joke there somewhere.
No, absolutely, and it became the Cop, oh, wow, the Chester Cop, and usually it'd be about, 80 people on it, and, you'd hear this chant of, Chester...
I don't know why you're making fun of your home city. Did you not try and save Chester once?
Yeah, I did.
I thought you tried to save them. Well, I think you're being rather disingenuous about the fact that they're not very successful.
I saved them I rented a coach, took it to the Diva Hotel on Hull Road, and said, meet me all here, you Cestrian fans.
Yeah.
I'll buy you all a drink, and then we'll get on the coach.
Right.
And I had a banner on the front which said, Porky's Blue and White Army.
Right.
And we drove down...
Van Hal's Red and White Army.
That's right, yeah. And we drove down to Bumpers Lane, where the ground had been rebuilt, on the other side of Sealand Road, actually.
Is that the new ground this guy's talking about?
Yeah, it's a new ground the guy's talking about. Yeah. Do you know what the biggest business was?
What?
In Bumpers Lane?
What?
And it'd been known as Bumpers Lane for like hundreds of years.
Yeah.
It was a car fitting business where they fitted new bumpers.
Right. Well, I suppose that's a good appropriate place to have a bumper business.
But anyway.
Funny enough, I was talking about bumpers this weekend because my kids were asking me about bumpers.
Oh,
because bumpers disappeared from cars years ago. And I was finding myself trying to explain to them what a bumper was.
Oh, right, okay,
Because they were like, well, what is a... And I said, well, it was like, usually it was made of chrome. And
That's
it
right.
sort of went around the outside of the car at the front
Yes,
and back.
that's right, yeah.
So if you hit something, it would make it better. And then they put rubber on it. And they looked at me like I was mad.
Yes, that's right. I remember the rubber bumpers. I could see some point in a rubber bumper. I could never see much point in a solid metal silver bumper, which only it didn't protect anybody from anything. It just smashed both cars up.
Right, and sometimes it would fall off.
It would fall off often and drag along the road.
Yeah.
Now, I mentioned drink to you.
You did mention drink, yeah. What do you want to say about it?
Well, today is the anniversary in 1920 when Prohibition was imposed on the American people.
Wow.
In 1920, guess how long it lasted?
It's also Dolly Parton's 70th birthday, somebody wanted me to remind you as well.
I think it is.
Yeah.
It is, actually, yeah. Guess how long Prohibition lasted?
I don't know, 7 years?
No, 13 years.
13
until
years?
1933.
Wow.
And guess who won the FA Cup in 1933?
I don't know, Everton?
They certainly did, yeah. Dean, Steen and Dunn.
That's a long way round to tell a story about Everton winning the Cup.
Beat Manchester City 3-0 at Wembley, Dixie Dean.
Barry says, according to this, Everton have never lost to Carlisle in any cup competition.
Yes, they have.
He calls himself an Everton fan.
No, they have. Honestly, they've knocked out of the FA Cup by... I remember it well.
Yeah.
We went there. Now, it could have been the league game, I suppose, but we had a mate called Callie in Callister, who is still alive, I think.
Is he?
I think so.
That's rare for one of your mates.
Well, hang on, I'm trying to work out how old Callie will be. I think he'll be over 70 now. But anyway, he was a great guy, and he was a terrific Everton fan.
Yeah.
What are you laughing at?
I just got a piece of advice from the producer.
What was that?
To make sure that you don't libel him if he's still alive.
Oh, no, I'm not going to libel him. He's a great guy. I'm not going to libel him about. Anyway, what happened was Callie ran the Liverpool Echo and Post office in Chester.
Right.
Okay? He was Mr. Liverpool Echo.
So he was a journo.
He was journo. Yeah, he was journo. He was a great journo as well. And, he was a district man, covered Chester and North Wales.
Yeah.
Now, as a result of that, he had a Ford Escort.
Right.
Now, the rest of us all worked for... Well, we just worked in Chester. Two of the lads worked in Quicks, which was a Ford dealership, which did Ford cars.
Right. This is your gang you're talking about
The
now.
gang, and they worked in the spares department.
Right.
So they got paid very little money, but stole a lot of stuff.
I was going to say, I bet they stole a lot of spares that they gave to their mates like you.
Well,
so you were in receipt of stolen goods?
No, I wasn't, because I had a Vauxhall Viva.
Right.
But Callie had a Ford Escort.
Right.
Now, he never received any stolen goods from them because he was a very honourable man.
Of course.
But people who did have Ford cars were always walking in there, offering them a fiver, and miraculously, their car parked across the road would suddenly have a pair of headlights put in the boot and all this kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
Right.
It was a racket that was going on. Nevertheless.
Did anybody actually, play straight in Chester?
Well,
it sounds like it was a sort of den of iniquity.
It's one of those sort of towns.
Yeah.
Anyway, to cut a long story short, Callie had the Ford Escort, which was renewed every 2 years, because being a district man, of course, he needed a car to get around his patch.
Right.
So, but most of the mileage he chalked up was following Everton.
Right.
So, because he had a decent cut, what are you laughing at?
Because it's amazing what people used to get away with.
Yeah, well, it was absolutely amazing. Everybody was on the fiddle in the 70s. That was the only way you could make any money, because, if you earned any real money, you were taxed about 90p in the pound and all this kind of stuff. So, everybody was on the fiddle. So, what happened was, there were 6 of us. So, you'd get Callie driving, one guy in the front, then 4 people in the back of an old-style Ford Escort. Oh, yeah. It was amazing it didn't collapse.
Yeah.
So, we used to go everywhere following Everton, and we went off to Carlisle.
Yeah.
And that was a hell of a long journey up the M6, and we lost 2-1 on the day, I remember, and I'm sure it was a cup game. I mean, I'm happy to be proved wrong, because it's in the record books, but old Callie was a brilliant guy. And one minute he was, he used to, I'll tell you what he used to do. In those days, there was a massive area of business in Manchester on the national newspapers. Yeah. So Callie would work...
Yeah, because they all had big offices there, didn't they?
They all had big offices. So Callie would work all day for the Liverpool Post and Echo, and at night, he'd drive over to Manchester and he'd work all night for the Daily Mirror.
Right.
That was the paper he was with,
When did he sleep?
Well, he didn't really, in the sense. He used to sleep in the office and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
But anyway, he...
So what does he do now, this guy?
Well, this is very interesting. We used to go to a pub called the Netley on County Road, and it was our pub. And it was an interesting pub because they used to have pictures of all the Everton players on the walls when Everton were at home.
Yeah.
And then miraculously, when Liverpool were at home, they had pictures of all the Liverpool players on the wall. It was a great pub. But we only ever got over there in Callie's Ford Escort, you see. So, anyway, time goes on and I made, huge progress in my career. Callie never moved on to the national newspapers officially, just a string for them. And then one time, I had to ring up Cheshire County Council about something, and I was on the Daily Express.
Yeah.
And guess who answered the phone?
This guy?
Callie.
In
Callister.
Did you recognise his name? Or recognise his voice?
I recognised his voice immediately, and it was kind of, Callie, is that you? Hey, Mike, is that you? I said, hey, what are you up here? And we met
again. So you'd lost touch with this guy then?
Lost touch with him, yeah. But then, funny enough, the next Everton game, we met in the Netley again.
Right.
And, a bit of a reunion and all that. The following season, when I'd moved to London with the Express, but I'd come back up north to watch Everton, rang up Callie and said, sorry, son, couldn't get him. They've left a message in his office, said, tell him to meet me in the Netley.
Yeah.
And of course, I turned up, didn't I, to the Netley in County Road. Guess what had happened?
They changed all the pictures?
No, they'd knocked the Netley down.
Oh, dear.
So there was no Netley.
Right.
So I lost touch with Callie after that, never saw him again.
Well, does he not still work for the Cheshire Council?
No, I doubt it, because he'd be over 70 now.
Oh,
Way
really?
over 70, I would think, yeah.
Right.
But he was a very decent chap, and we used to drive around with him. So what do you think were the consequences of Prohibition in America?
The consequences were that basically Al Capone became the biggest organised crime figure in history.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
I totally agree. And it gave rise to its own vocabulary, didn't it? What is the most famous word?
Well, I suppose hooch or moonshine or whatever it is.
What about speakeasy?
Speakeasy, possibly, yeah.
Now, should we explain why speakeasy became the word? Because,
well, if you can.
Well, they used to have these cafes, didn't they, and restaurants and all that kind of stuff, and they had the gingham covers to the tables. What are they called? Tablecloths.
Tablecloths.
Gingham tablecloths, right, and checkered floors and all this kind of stuff. But then, when you gave a wink to the head waiter, it was a wink back, and you just go down the corridor at the back, which led basically to the bathrooms, but on the right was a sliding panel.
Yeah.
And if you went like this, and then the panel would slide open, and if you gave the right password, they'd let you in. But then they always used to say to you, speakeasy, because they didn't want you to make any noise.
Oh, I see.
Because the cops who were roaming around all the time...
I thought it was much more open than that by the end of it.
Trying to find... Well, it might have been at the end, but to start off with, they had to sort of enforce it. So you were
Because I was watching The Untouchables, funnily enough, just the other night, which I hadn't seen for a while.
Who's it? Elliot Ness?
That's Elliot Ness, and Sean Connery plays the the copper that you don't
he was
like.
hopeless in that.
He was really good in it. Andy Garcia's in it. Kevin Costner. Good film. And Robert De Niro, of course, plays Al Capone.
But, I think Costner's a bit of a flake as well.
Well, I know you do, but you haven't seen it, so you can't really judge. Yeah. But the bottom line is that everybody knew where the illegal drinking dens were.
Yes.
And Al Capone used to say, well, I'm just dealing with a demand for,
That's right.
liquor.
I'm just meeting a demand.
I'm just meeting a demand for liquor.
Yeah.
And they call it on Lakeshore Drive, which was the sort of, the ritzy part of Chicago.
That's
still
right.
is. He said they call it hospitality.
Yes, that's right.
In the rest of the city, they call it illegal.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So, I mean, it was a ridiculous thing to try and do.
Oh, it was the worst law imposed on the American people in the history of America.
Yeah.
I mean, even worse than the Boston Tea Party, to be honest, because it caused much, much more trouble and thousands of deaths, tens of thousands of deaths, and it led to the breakdown of law and order.
Yeah.
It was supposed to reinforce law and order. It didn't.
No.
Because it led to two parallel systems of justice.
Right.
The dark side and the...
And also everybody, including the police, were involved in drinking.
Yeah, of course they were.
Stopped doing it.
Of course they were. And also, as a result of which, all these religious nutters emerged, which to this day are still causing terrible problems in the world,
Well, there's still parts of America where you can't get a drink.
Well, that's right.
Dry counties.
Yeah, dry counties. I mean, the temperance movement is one of the worst things that's ever happened, It really is. I went to Salt Lake City once and couldn't get a drink.
Yeah, shocking. Absolutely shocking. Stephen says, I'm working the next road to Bumpers Lane. I'll send you a photo later.
That'd be great.
And here's one from Willow, who says, Chester Rubbish Tip is on Bumpers Lane. May see you at the Tranmere home game in February.
That'd be brilliant.
Probably not, I would
Looking
say.
forward to it.
Yeah. This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics. Nigel Reo-Coker coming up next.
FA Cup review on Talk Sport.
Liverpool game live on Talk Sport tonight. Liverpool against Exeter. Also, you got Spurs Leicester replay tonight as well. Let's talk to Nigel Reo-Coker, former Aston Villa, West Ham and Bolton player.
Yes.
He was watching some of the FA Cup action last night. Nigel, very good morning to you.
Good morning.
Thanks very much indeed for joining us. Aston Villa looked like they were kind of struggling a little bit last night against Wickham, and a lot of people started to think that maybe this was going to be a bit of a humiliation for them. The fans started to turn a little bit. They're having a miserable season, but at least they got through this one.
Yeah. I mean, it's been a tough season for Villa. There's been a lot of changes, and for me, it just seems like it's been happening, for the past couple of years now. I still speak to one or two players there and people involved with the club, and it's a complete different club, it seems, to when I was there and a few other players that were there.
I mean, it's hard to believe it's kind of become such a basket case of a football club, really, isn't it? I mean, Randy Lerner has been saying for the last couple of years that he wants to sell it. He keeps occasionally changing the manager and occasionally changing the chairman. But, it just seems to be sinking further and further into the swamp.
Yeah, I mean, it's a difficult situation. I don't really kind of see or know what direction they want to head in, and it's difficult, especially with how competitive and tough the Premier League is. If you're going to come with a team, a young team of inexperienced players, and obviously not have a bit of a strong British backbone in your team, it's going to be a very difficult and hard season for you, and not everyone can come to the Premier League and be able to adapt quickly. A lot of people have to understand what it means to play in the Premier League, but also what it means to play in England, what it means to play for certain clubs and what it means to represent that club in certain games. And I think sometimes the important thing is you need a really strong British backbone with experience there to help any of these young players that you might feel might go on to do something good and spectacular.
Thing is, Nige, when you're playing in a team like Aston Villa struggling so badly at the bottom of in the bottom three of the Premier League, games like this, FA Cup games, they're a bit of a relief, aren't they? It's like being on an island and saying, come on, we haven't got the pressure of winning 3 points, we've got the pressure now of trying to get on a good cup run, just as you did last season.
Yeah, it's a mentality thing,
yes.
But again, that comes with experience and that comes with playing in England. Sometimes you need some experienced players to be able to pass that to, players who might not be so familiar with what the FA Cup means.
Indeed.
Also, at the same time, how it is a breath of fresh air and might be a way of getting confidence back into your league games.
Yes.
I mean, but you need people to be in that dressing room who can relate that message to all these players who might not know what this game means and how they can use this game to their advantage to build confidence for, league games.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, the big league game,
anyway.
I'm not quite sure how that's anything like standing on an island, by the way, but
what do you mean?
I'll ask you to explain that later. It's a bit like being on an island.
It is like being on an island.
How's it like being on an island?
Free of the day-to-day pressures of having to gain points in the Premier League to try and save yourself from relegation. Right. I use language like this, Nige, because I'm a well-educated man. Sorry about the ignoramus who sit alongside me.
Listen, I can completely understand what you're saying. I've been in that situation before. I've had the experience that
Thank you.
In the Premier League, when things weren't going right for us, and it was the same kind of thing with West Ham at that time when things weren't going right. You get an FA Cup game, it's a big relief. It's the FA Cup, it's the magic of the cup. Anything can happen, and it's basically win or lose. Nothing really is at stake for this game. But
That's
at the same time, you can use that game to build momentum. Yes. For your league game, to get confidence from that. So, it's just a win's a win.
But a win's a win. But if you're playing somebody like Wickham, surely you have got something to lose because you're Aston Villa in the end, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's another thing. At the end of the day, for Wickham, it's more of an incentive for them to beat Villa, especially with the state that Villa are in. So even then, it's a bit of extra pressure, but at the same time, it's still a cup game.
Sure.
It's not 3 points that you're going to have to wait till the week after to, see who you've got next week and then thinking about how you're going to get your next 3 points. It's just, it's different. But, I mean, it's so difficult to explain over the phone. It's one of them ones where, only players who've played will kind of understand and know what it is and how to get that across in the dressing room.
Yeah,
exactly.
Because, I mean, one of the difficulties, I guess, if you're a player right now for Aston Villa is the reaction of the fans. And we've had Aston Villa fans on TalkSport tonight saying, you know the crowd is going to turn. And a lot of the fans don't want the crowd to turn, but they do turn. And that must be a horrible thing to have to face if you're going out every week and that's what's happening.
Yeah, it is, but, I mean, it's part of football. This has been going on. This isn't just something that just happened now. I've experienced it a lot worse when West Ham fans want to turn. They're very passionate fans. For them, football isn't just a sport, it's a way of life. So when they want to turn, they're going to turn. At the end of the day, you have to put that little bit of extra pressure on yourself as players to say, this is what it means to the fans.
Right.
And you need to take that energy and translate that onto a football pitch, into your performances. And again, it's got to be a bit where the players have to come together to say, basically, right now the situation we're in, it's us v the world, And with or without the fan support, we've got to play for ourselves, the club, in our own pride. We've got to really try and get points and do what it takes to win matches.
Well, a fascinating game coming up at the weekend because West Brom got past Bristol City last night in the FA Cup, but it's West Brom at home against Aston Villa, which, is going to be a fantastic local derby. It would be a great one for Aston Villa to come back in.
Yeah, it would be great. I mean, if they win a game like that, that just sends a massive statement, to the fans and stuff. Winning a game like that can transform their whole season. That can build so much confidence and belief in the players again to go in and get more results. So such a big game like that is probably a game that they need. They need to change and go back to winning ways in a game like that, a big derby game where everyone will be, looking at them and the main focus will be on them again. So, a win for them this weekend will be massive.
Right. Yeah, no, I totally agree. The thing is, Nigel, Aston Villa are still the flag bearers for the Midlands. No doubt about it. In the Midlands, West Midlands, East Midlands, Aston Villa are the club. They've won the European Cup in the past. They have the tradition, the heritage. And when Villa aren't doing well, the region slumps. And it's a big responsibility, but they're lacking at the moment. And that game, Villa-West Brom, really needs to be a cracker to remind people, look, this is a huge area of England with great clubs in it, but it's being left behind.
Yeah, it's the pressure of playing at that club. It's such a great club. I had a great time there, and I got to know a lot of locals very well, and they're people that I still speak to now. Villa fans and people who work for the club I still speak to because they're such nice people. They were fantastic to me when I was there. I'm talking about, the backroom staff. I'm talking about the stewards at the stadium. These are all people that I still talk to now.
Exactly.
And they're such great people. And it's just, I think, a lot of the players have to buy into it. I think a lot of players have to buy into the club that they're playing for and not just the fact of being in the Premier League. And then again, that's something that, you can't teach these players. They kind of have to learn that and see that again by playing with, homegrown players who know what it means to play for this club. And it's such a big, big club with a big history. And, I hope they can turn it around. I hope they can, win games and stay in the Premier League. And they have to kind of, at the moment, deal with everything that's going on now. If the fans are not on their side and the fans are going to turn, they have to deal with it. It's part of football. It's been going on in British football for a long time. And that's just the passion of the fans and what it means to these people.
Sure.
Well, I've got a message for you from a Twitter account here called himself Kevin. He says, please let Mr. Reo-Coker know that he had some Vancouver Whitecaps fans listening and he did a great service here. So they're obviously a lot more polite in America.
You think so, yeah, but I've come across some tough people. I appreciate that. Thank you. Vancouver's another great city.
Brilliant city.
The game over here is completely different. Yeah, the game over here is completely different to what it's like in England and Europe. It's a different mentality. The fans here, and it's different. Because the best way I describe it is, in Europe and the rest of the world, football's not just a sport; it's a way of life.
Yeah.
I mean, over here it's still young, it's growing. And obviously the thing is over here is there's so much more other things that, young kids or people can do. It's not just football. You've got baseball, you've got American football, you've got hockey. Sure. You've got so many other different sports that people love. But Vancouver was an amazing experience. And Carl Robinson's a good friend of mine now. He's the manager there and he's done a fantastic job with such a young team. They've got bright young talent. The fans and the people there was nice. It's an amazing city and it was a great experience. Everything you go through in life, you've got to try and take the best out of it and the best experiences. And, for me, I appreciate them saying that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, listen, Nigel, good luck with
thanks very much
indeed. And
everything
else. And we'll talk to you, I'm sure, very, very soon. Nigel Reo-Coker there, talking to us from North America.
Indeed.
Over in the tennis world, Serena Williams is playing now, by the way.
Yes, Serena Williams.
So you're going to keep us updated on that one as well, and colour of her dress and everything?
I may indeed. Well,
because you're such a tennis expert, aren't you?
Yeah, well, that's a very nice yellow dress she's got on. It's very distinctive, isn't it?
Maybe you could be doing the sort of the fashion parade.
Well, the thing is, everybody knows that Serena and her sister, Venus Williams...
Yeah. She was knocked out yesterday.
Yes, she was, actually,
by Joe Conter.
She was, yeah.
England's number one woman player.
That's right. Yeah. Once wanted to retire altogether from the world of tennis and sport to set up their own fashion label.
Yeah.
And they actually did that, and they have got a fashion label. But then Serena in particular decided, look, hang on, there's still many years left in me in tennis. Went back and became an even better player, which is quite astonishing.
Yeah.
Is it not?
Is that your point?
What?
Well, that she's a great player.
Well, no, she's a great player, but also, I mean, she's an amazing woman because she only became a tennis player because her father decided she would be.
Yeah.
So her father went and got himself trained as a tennis coach first, then came home, took the two girls out to a tennis court and said, "You're going to be the world's best," and started teaching them how to play tennis.
Yes.
And it was an extraordinary story. It was a bit like Ginger Baker when he decided he didn't like working in the local sorting office anymore and told his boss, "I'm leaving."
Yeah.
His boss said, "What are you going to do?" He said, "I'm going to be a drummer in a rock group."
Yeah.
And his boss said, "I didn't know you could play the drums." He said, "No, I can't,
Right.
but I'm going to learn and I'm going to become one of the best in the world."
Well,
and he did.
And he did do that, yeah.
It was amazing, yeah. I know an amazing statistic about Serena Williams.
Do you?
Yeah. It's about the physiological makeup of what she does.
Yeah, go on.
I'm not going to tell it to you.
What do you mean you're not going to tell it?
No.
How can you know a statistic and not reveal it?
No, I'm not going to say anything
Why
about
not?
it. No, I don't want to say anything about it, thank
Why
you.
not? Is it of a personal nature?
It's of personal nature, yes, that's right.
really?
Indeed, yes.
Oh,
yes. Yes.
okay.
Yes.
Right. Well, you'll have to tell me when we're not actually
Well, no,
on the
I
radio.
wouldn't. I'm not going to do that either because you can't tease the audience by saying, "Oh,
Well, you
I'll tell
just
you in the
have.
break" or something. No, I
Well,
haven't.
you've just
No, I
done
haven't.
that.
No, I haven't. No.
You've just said that you know something that you're not going to reveal it.
Well,
So can you not put it in words which are not offensive?
Okay, well, it's not offensive anyway.
Right.
But I read an interview with Serena Williams quite recently in which she revealed that because of her physiology, she has always had a disadvantage because her bust can move 7 inches up and down, literally, even with the strongest sort of sports equipment. Sorry, what are you laughing at?
That's a ridiculous statistic.
No, you wanted to know.
Yeah.
Her bust can move a total of 7 inches, up and down on the front of her body.
Yeah. While she's playing.
While she's playing.
Yeah.
And she has to wear clothing. Why are you laughing?
Because it's a ridiculous thing to say.
No, it's not, because her clothing has to be especially made for her accordingly. And when you think about it, it is quite extraordinary to find such a shapely woman as a top athlete in any sport.
Not at all. It's only extraordinary to you.
Well, go on then. You name me another sport where there's such a shapely
There are any
woman.
number of other sportswomen who are, in your words... I mean, I'm not even sure what shapely means.
No,
it's not a word I would use. It's from the dictionary of Sid the Sexist.
No, it's not. This is why I said to you I wasn't going to say it. I read it. She talked about it, right?
Yeah.
So it's not like some grubby little secret or something like that.
But there's no reason not to
It was
talk
an
about
interview in a magazine which was the...
Tennis Weekly or something?
No, it wasn't. It was the Times.
Oh, was it?
It was the London Times magazine. And she pointed out that, it's a handicap she's had to work with all her life, but she has to get over it. So,
she does, indeed. And she does very well.
But, I mean, long-distance runners are very lean, very
that tends to be
slim.
because of their build is different.
Yeah, exactly. And athletes are lean and slim. Hockey players, this is all I'm saying.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Here's one from Kevin.
Yes.
Sorry, not Kevin. It's from Andrew, who says Lynchburg in Moore County, where Jack Daniels is distilled, is a dry county.
It is a dry
county.
county.
Doesn't make any sense at all.
No, it is a
dry
dry
county. And Eamon the
county.
Villa fan says, never mind Prohibition, half the time it sounds like Porky's been on the White Lightning.
What? Are you
Which is
mad?
very harsh.
You're mad.
This is TalkSport. We are the two mics. There will be a podcast coming out a little bit later on, of course, and lots more to come on the show as well, including Ask Porky, as we said.
That's right.
Lots of tweets have come in about Prohibition. Here's one from Ricky, who says, now it's time to end Prohibition on marijuana. The USA has the largest amount of people incarcerated in the world. Such freedom. Well, funnily enough, a lot of states are already starting to make marijuana legal, aren't they?
Yeah.
And there's no real evidence yet that that's caused any massive problems, really.
What, the liberation of marijuana?
Yeah, like
well,
Colorado.
it depends whether you think it is a long-term brain wrecker.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people
do believe that it is.
Yeah, a lot of people believe it is. What was the name of Mr. Nice again? Howard Marks.
Howard Marks,
He's dead now, isn't he?
I think he's still alive.
No, I think he's dead. I think he's
died?
dead. And, of course, he was an Oxford graduate, so he wasn't a stupid man.
No.
But he made up his money as a graduate, as an undergraduate, dealing in drugs, and became one of the biggest dealers in the world.
Well, that's it. I mean, there's an awful lot of money in it.
And went on the run. But he used to smoke like 8 or 10 joints a day.
Yeah.
Not when he was in prison, obviously. He was eventually locked up by the FBI. But
he probably did smoke it in prison, actually.
Well,
it's probably
maybe.
easier to get it in prison than it is outside of it.
Yeah, that's probably very true. And but he advocated that it was nothing wrong with it. However, there is loads of medical evidence. It's one of these that you can prove either way. You can take medical evidence and prove it doesn't harm. You can take medical evidence and prove it does.
Yeah.
But
they seem to be agreed on the fact that, particularly now with these stronger kinds of skunk and whatever,
and all that,
the teenagers who
gives
smoke
you dementia
too much in their sort of developing years, might actually have problems later in life.
No, I totally agree.
Yeah.
I mean, when we used to live in New York in the 80s, it was so free and easy. I remember the police wouldn't even stop you on the streets if you were strolling around smoking one, would they?
Well, I mean, they tried that here, didn't they? And in fact, that's more or less the way it is here, I think.
It is more or less the way it is.
I remember they stopped that guy from S Club 7 somewhere in Covent Garden a few years ago.
That's right.
When they were trying to clamp down on it.
That's right.
And then they ended up having to let him off or something.
Exactly, yeah. Now, listen, I mean, on that very thing, 1 in 20 British women, because I told you that, I had a few stories here about the devilment of drink.
Yeah.
I do pay great attention to drink stories because I have
noticed that.
I need to know what the...
Are you concerned at the amount that you've had to drink over the course of your life is in some way a dangerous thing?
No, mine's been moderation because, remember, my bladderation has been curtailed.
Your bladderation has been going on for years.
No, it's been curtailed over the last 12 years since my heart collapsed. I mean, only 1/3 of my heart works because I have acute heart failure.
Yeah.
But listen to this one. Listen to this one, you see. You read more and more stories about this subject, and this is the amount that women are now drinking.
Yeah.
It says 1 in 20 British women is a drunkerexic. And a drunkerexic means regularly skipping meals in favour of alcohol.
Really?
Going without food means they can make up for those lost calories in booze. The stat was revealed in a poll as experts warned the alarming trend could damage health.
Yeah, hang on, but isn't this all part of the same campaign that you're so much against, which is the one being run by that woman who's running from the chief medical officer, saying that basically no drink is now safe?
Yes,
so
I know.
Drink anything.
But guess what?
But so how can you then read out another study which tells you that there are dangerous things going on because women are drinking too much?
Well, this is what I'm telling you. There's so much competing information. But you know that I went on to another national programme and decried the idea...
What? Well, you've been on the radio again today.
No, not today. It was a few weeks ago.
Oh, a few weeks ago.
Well, Jeremy, my friend.
Oh, your friend Jeremy.
Yeah. And guess what we're reading tonight?
Well, finally, you were actually able to go on the show and talk about a subject with some expertise.
Very funny. And I said, what a lot of nonsense. They used to tell us butter was bad for us. Used to tell us sausages and bacon were bad for us. Now they say they're okay. But listen to this one. This is going to be published in tomorrow morning's newspapers.
Yeah.
2 professors have blasted Chief Medical Officer Sally Davis over her booze limits blitz.
Oh, right.
The experts claim she distorted the evidence to support the crackdown.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean,
and who are these guys, then? Where are they from?
Well, they're 2 professors.
Yeah, professors from where, though? I always have to ask you this, because I want to make sure they're not from some jumped-up university.
2 professors.
Yeah.
Peter Diggle.
Yeah, okay.
Peter Diggle.
No.
And Sir David Spiegelhalter.
Spiegelhalter? Yeah, he's very famous in the drinking area.
So Peter Diggle and Dr. David Spiegelhalter, the current and incoming presidents of the Royal Statistical Society.
No. Well, that sounds interesting.
Warned the one-sided advice would reduce public trust in future health guidances.
No.
Earlier this month, Dame Sally said drinking any level of alcohol regularly carries a health risk for anyone.
And we decried that.
Yeah,
well,
totally.
What you should be doing, instead of reading up on these 2 so-called professors, you should have been reading the Pyongyang Times, right? Because in the Pyongyang Times today...
Pyongyang?
In Pyongyang. Apparently, the North Koreans have come up with an alcohol which doesn't cause a hangover.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's not alcohol then, is it?
Well, of course it is, yeah. It's a brew, which is apparently 30 to 40% alcohol, right? So it's really strong. And it's made from a particular type of indigenous ginseng called insam and glutinous rice. And it's cultivated by some kind of farming method. Yeah. And basically they're saying that it exudes national flavour without upsetting your need for getting out in the morning and praising the great leader.
Sounds like Korea's version of pochine to me. Yeah. I used to drink pochine when I worked in Ireland. God,
that's not a good idea.
That's a really brain rotter.
Yeah.
It is.
The article in the Pyongyang Times says liquor wins quality medal for preserving national smack.
Yes.
I presume they don't mean heroin. But apparently it's highly apprecied by experts and lovers. We should try and get our hands on some of this stuff. What do you think?
He's an easy lover. Remember that as the word in the title of the song, Lover. Listen.
What? Why do you think? What made you think of that?
I don't know. It just did. Phil Collins.
Have you not got any contacts in North Korea that could get us a case of this stuff?
In Pyongyang. Yeah. Do you know what I read over the weekend? By the way,
liquor, it's called.
I read over the weekend that the Secretary of State for the United States in 1950 gave a very broad based speech at the United Nations as to America's responsibilities in the post-war world.
Yeah.
And he actually outlined the whole of the divided route between the East and the West, which America would defend.
Right.
But he missed out Korea.
Why?
Well, I don't know.
So it went around it, you mean?
Well, he just kind of missed it out, you know, when he trotted around the globe and saying this is the lines of demarcation. It was a warning to the Russians not to get funny.
Right.
Because he missed out
Korea.
Korea.
Well, he should have been more concerned about the Chinese in that part of the world.
Well, I don't think the Chinese were too aggressive in those days. It was in 1950.
Well, that's when Chairman Mao was around, wasn't it?
Yeah, but I think they were internally sort of revolutionising themselves, you know.
Oh, that's what I meant.
Years before the Second World War. No, and so, but according to the historian I was reading this lecture about, because the Secretary of State failed to include Korea in this dividing line...
Well, presumably north or south.
Yeah, the Russians, who were then led by... In 1950, that would have been Stalin, wouldn't it, would have still been in power?
I would imagine so.
Decided that, that's a clear sign for America that we can let North Korea invade South Korea.
Yeah.
That's when the Korean War started.
Right.
Lasted 3 years.
So the reason that all happened was because they didn't keep an eye on it, or they missed out altogether.
It was a mistake. It was a mistake, the old Secretary of State.
Right.
But anyway, listen...
Howard Marks is still alive, by the way.
Sorry?
Howard Marks is still alive.
Howard Marks is still alive?
Still alive.
My apologies.
Yeah.
You've had a great life. Well done.
He's not upset. You've had a great life.
Yeah. Well, he has smoked all that marijuana.
Yes.
No, I told you about the women who skip meals, right, the drunkerexes. The other one is 1 in 5 people over 50 risk damaging their health through excessive drinking, according to a report that shows that older people are now being driven to drink by retirement and personal setbacks in their lives.
I'm sure that's true.
Are you having any personal setbacks in your 50s?
No, not particularly.
Really?
No. What's that for?
You may have a few to come.
Really? What's that ridiculous noise you're making?
I can see your future.
Can you? Really?
Oh, yes.
Right. And what do you see?
Oh, I see nothing but darkness for you.
Really? All right. Okay. Yeah, well. He suddenly turned into Dr. Evil. This is Talk Sport.
I check the fixtures online. I order my pizza online. And when I want to check my sexual health, I can do that online too. The Confidant Home Test accurately checks for 10 main infections at the same time, from a single sample. It's fast, discreet, and it's 100% confidential. Order your Confidant Home STI test kit online at confidanttest.com. Results are not intended to replace medical advice and should be used as a convenient way of getting tested before consulting a GP. Age 16 plus. UK customers only. Terms and fees apply.
I checked my road so I didn't miss the match.
I checked my road so I wasn't late for my meeting.
I checked my road so I made my flight.
I checked my road to make sure I made it back for bath time.
While we're making improvements as part of our road modernisation plan, there will be disruptions. Always check your roads before you travel to avoid any unnecessary delays by searching TfL Traffic News.
Transport for London. Every journey matters.
At Wickes, we've shaved up to 40% off our updated range of skirting, architrave and cladding. Wickes, let's do it right.
The Alan Brazil Sports Breakfast on Talk Sport with the Ford Ranger. It's the breakfast show that doesn't compromise on delivering the biggest names from the world of sport.
That's the Alan Brazil Sports Breakfast every weekday morning from 6 a.m. on Talk Sport. Don't miss it.
The Alan Brazil Sports Breakfast. Weekday mornings from 6 on Talk Sport with the Ford Ranger. Ruthlessly tested across the harshest terrain on earth. Find out more at ford.co.uk. Be in the know. Get details on all the deals as they're done. The January transfer window on Talk Sport.
What you might call fulsome tributes to Glenn Frey in the papers today.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Because it all happened a bit late for them yesterday.
It certainly did. But there's one here. I'm reading this report of his life, and he was the ultimate rock star. For instance, that song that John's just played for us, right?
Yeah.
According to one report that, over the years, you know, which people have brought together, I was in a Corvette with a drug dealer. We were doing 90 and doing drugs. I said,
is this from him?
This is from Glenn Frey.
Yeah.
Glenn Frey.
Frey.
I said, hey, man, what are you doing? He said, come on, man, this is life in the fast lane.
Right.
I thought, that's a song title, and went off and wrote that song that we've just heard,
no,
right?
Okay.
But here's a little bit about how his life went, okay?
Yeah.
For instance, when you blow your nose and your handkerchief looks like the flag of Japan, you know you're doing too much coke. That's a Glenn Fry quote.
Yeah.
But it comes like this. He said... Frey said, we started to perfect after-show parties. This is after these huge concerts they did, tens of thousands. Well, like, sometimes hundreds of thousands of people would turn up, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
And invented something called the third encore. We did 2 encores on stage, so the third encore was the party.
Right.
Our roadies would help the band find the most attractive girls in the crowd, and then hand out special pins which said third encore access, and that was to our hotel suites.
Right.
Fry explained, we filled the bathtubs up with Budweiser beer and champagne, had a party after every show.
Right.
Drummer and party...
I'm a bit disappointed with the Budweiser, to be honest.
Yeah, so am I, really, yeah. But I suppose you've got to have some liquid refreshment along with all the...
Yeah, but Budweiser's that awful beer. You've got to drink about 58 cans of it before you even get anywhere of a buzz.
Anyway, it goes on to say, drummer and co-songwriter Don Henley, who led the band alongside Fry, was known as Nick on Don. This was because of his habit of filming home movies with the prettiest and most willing attendees.
Oh, really?
Imagine what was going on there, can't you?
You can.
The band reportedly toured with fridges full of cocaine, which, with Fry said to snort 1/8 of a gram at a time.
Right.
That apparently is a huge amount.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
I think it's probably quite a lot.
Is it? Yeah. No, but this is the best bit. In his 1998 biography of the group, Mark Elliott wrote that snorting coke eventually destroyed the lining of Fry's nose.
Right.
It was so badly damaged he had to have a surgical repair, which included lining his nostrils with Teflon.
Really?
The same.
Presumably that meant he couldn't smell anything anymore.
I don't know. The same substance, which of course is put on the outside of space rockets to stop them burning up on re-entering Earth.
And the inside of frying pans.
And the
non-stick.
Inside of frying pan, non-stick. Yeah. Okay. The mucous membranes had all been destroyed. I mean, it's that is.
It's a shame it wasn't Don Henley that had that done to him, because he would be called Teflon Don.
Teflon Don,
which was,
exactly.
of course, the name they used to give to John Gotti.
That's right, yeah.
Because nothing could stick to him.
But, I mean, it just
that happened
shows
to Linda Ronstadt, didn't it? Linda Ronstadt, who did some work with the Eagles over the various different years, and I think might have gone out with a couple of them.
Yeah.
She had to have her nose completely reconstructed, supposedly.
Who was the rock star? I don't want to name his name because I get it wrong. Who said, I realised I had a real cocaine problem when one day I looked down at my nose and I could see my top lip.
Oh, really?
It went straight through his nose. His nostrils had gone completely.
Oh, God.
And there was that...
Well, there was the woman from EastEnders, wasn't it?
I was about to say, Daniela somebody?
Daniela Westbrook.
Who got rid of her septum.
The septum disappeared.
Disappeared.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a muscle, isn't it, the septum?
Well, I suppose it's gristle more than muscle.
Well, I think you're right. I think it's gristle.
Cartilage.
Over bone.
Yeah.
So, I mean, how can people so horrendously abuse themselves like that? I just don't know. I know.
Was there not a story about another rock star who's current, who I also won't name, who, because of the fact that they realised they were damaging their noses so severely by taking cocaine up, that they did it some different way, which is a slightly more, shall we say, kind of imaginative way of doing it.
Well, I don't want to get into that because I don't know what you're talking about, actually. It sounds gruesome.
Does it?
It sounds absolutely gruesome.
Oh, okay.
I tell you what I did come across reading my dietary journals.
Yeah.
There is a new way of eating now. If you really want to lose weight...
A new way of eating?
A new way of eating.
Okay.
What you do is, and this is no joke, you actually... When you go home, you don't do it in public because people get frightened and all that. When you go home, you attach a tube to your nose.
Right.
And you...
like you're in hospital.
Yes, that's right. And you intravenously feed yourself.
Okay.
And apparently...
But presumably that would always have to be a liquid nature.
Well, yeah, I suppose so. But it's called the most bizarre diet yet. But I'll tell you, I've got it here, actually. I've got this here.
Well, doesn't that really kind of defeat the object of eating? I mean, surely the point of eating is that you don't just do it because you want to live. You do it because you actually want to enjoy the food.
You honestly, it's no joke. You shove liquid up your nose and it goes straight into your stomach. It's almost as though you're on hunger strike and you're being force fed. But it's the person who tried this said, we tried everything from the master cleanse, where you live on water, lemon juice and cayenne pepper for 10 days.
That doesn't sound very appetising.
How about that? That's all you have for 10 days.
Yeah.
Water with a piece of lemon in it, lemon juice in it, and cayenne pepper.
Right.
To the grapefruit diet, which is basically eating lots of grapefruit because it contains a chemical that burns fat. There is the cookie diet, 12 specially designed biscuits a day, plus a low-calorie meal.
Right.
The bulletproof diet, where you start the day with a blended mix of black coffee, butter and coconut oil, and you avoid all processed food. And the raw food diet, where dishes must not be heated up to more than 40 degrees centigrade, otherwise you boil out the nutrient value of them.
Yeah, well, I've been saying this to you for years. I don't know about boiling stuff, and if you boil things continually, you won't get anything out of them. But I don't think there's any chance that I will ever, thank you very much, attach some kind of intravenous drip to myself.
Just to give you the details of this.
I prefer, cooking and eating food that I like to taste.
Okay, I agree with you. But it says here...
Apparently, by the way, old Serena Williams won the first set in 28 minutes.
28 minutes, that's not bad, is it? Yeah. So it says here, the latest one is having a plastic tube gently pushed up the nose, but actually through the nose and down into the stomach.
I don't like the sound of that. So give me the heebie-jeebies.
And this has to be done, first of all, in a Harley Street clinic by a person who's called a gastroenterologist, OK?
You say that as if you've never heard the word.
Well, it's a long word. Gastroenterologist.
You surely know what a gastroenterologist is, though.
Yeah, of course I do.
Well, what is it?
Well, they look after your entrails and your... and your gastro.
Your entrails, yeah.
Well, it's gastronomy, isn't it?
Well, gastronomy is
eating.
It's the study of food, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, apparently it's part of a procedure called the KEN, which is ketogenic enteral nutrition.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you going to have a go at this then?
No, I'm definitely not, no.
Well, I can't imagine anyone who would.
And you go to the KEN clinic, right, hating everything about the idea, but the theory is simple. When patients in hospitals are fed through nasogastric tubes, they completely lose their appetites.
Yeah.
So doctors have taken that practice now into private clinics, the constant flow of small quantities of nutrients. So they're not even giving you food, they're giving you like liquid nutrients.
Yeah, exactly.
Seems to suppress the appetite hormones, even if they are getting many calories, even if they are not getting many calories.
Yeah.
It says this phenomenon costs £350 for no, £350.
What a waste of time and money.
No, for a flexible plastic tube inserted into your stomach, which you then do yourself after you've had one lesson.
Right.
It's less uncomfortable than it sounds. The other end is attached to an electric pump in a backpack about the weight of a pint of milk. You put this backpack on. The pump delivers tiny quantities of a mixture of protein and nutrients.
I'm not interested. I'm not interested in this at all.
Into your stomach for 24 hours.
No.
And you consume hardly any calories and lose weight rapidly, up to 10% of your body weight in 10 days.
Yeah, well, I'm not surprised.
So if you weigh, like what you do, about 20 stone, in 10 days you'd lose 2 stone.
Yeah, well, that's not good for you. Very bad for you indeed. And also,
sounds pretty awful to me.
It does sound awful. Here's this from Jack in Stockport, who's texted. He says, I drink a lot of Budweiser. It's not weak beer. It's stronger than Carling and Foster's, and it does get you drunk.
Oh, no, I don't agree.
I'm very happy for you, Jack.
I don't agree.
Maybe you're thinking of the bottles. Cans of Bud are not weak.
Yeah.
Pachanga says, tell Senor Porky Sean Connery won his only Oscar for The Untouchables.
I know, I thought, but I didn't think he was much good in that.
But he won an Oscar for it.
Yeah, but
Best supporting actor.
Some actors, I'm not suggesting this was the reason he got his Oscar in this one. Some actors win Oscars for sympathy reasons after being in the business a long, long time.
Yeah.
One, in fact, was John Wayne, who made about 120 films.
Right.
And then he made, was it The Green Beret or was it the other one? No,
I'm not sure.
Rooster Coburn.
Yeah.
Rooster Coburn?
Possibly.
What film was he in that?
Well, he was Rooster Coburn.
No, I thought he was Rooster Coburn, the character in a film called something else, no?
I don't know, I'm not a John Wayne expert.
You don't know.
It's kind of before my time.
You don't know. I tell you what, we could do this week's quiz on John Wayne.
You want a quiz on John Wayne?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good. This Thursday.
Yes.
Yeah, because it is Oscars kind of time, isn't it?
It is Oscars
so
sort
we'll
of
be
time.
reminded of all of that.
And I've seen a lot of John Wayne films.
Have you?
I know a lot of John Wayne films.
Do you?
Yeah.
Well, why can't you think of the name of the one you're talking about?
Well, I think it was called Rooster Coburn, actually, on reflection.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm not going to try.
And I thought he was a good guy, John Wayne.
Did you?
I like John Wayne. I thought he was straightforward. He was, he was decent sort, decent cove, in my view.
Here's one from Ryan in Birmingham.
Okay.
He says, hi, Mike. I'm not a regular live listener due to work, but listen to the podcast daily. Porky's a bit of a geriatric plank.
What?
But I love how you keep him in check.
What do you mean?
He says, listening to yesterday's podcast, where you keep saying you can't mention how you would spend your last hours and how comfortable Porky sounds, I would appreciate if you could read this out, as I have damaged knee ligaments playing football and I'm off work and a little depressed.
Oh, well.
He says, I have your DVD and a mention would really cheer me up when listening to tomorrow's podcast.
What's this guy's name?
Ryan in Birmingham.
Well, Ryan in Birmingham, I'm awfully sorry about your knee, mate. I had medial ligament damage last year, and you know what? my weight went up by 1.5 stone because I wasn't able to work.
It's not very cheery for him.
Well, the 30 miles a week that I normally work, this guy's probably younger than me. He probably won't put on weight that badly.
Yeah.
Anyway, have a look at the DVD. Watch it 2 or 3 times. Appreciate my contribution to it and the lack of energy from old MG, who just saunters around on the stage, like he's got nothing better to do in life. And you will love the immense pleasure you will get from seeing a professional at work.
Yeah,
that's all I can tell you.
Good luck with that.
Yes.
And talking of professionals at work, coming up next, we're going to speak to Sandra Lee.
Excellent.
And she'll give us the lowdown on that massive shark down in Australia. This is Talk Sport. Graham, Mike Parry is here, and I'm delighted to say we are joined by Sandra Lee, our erstwhile, I wouldn't say erstwhile friend from New York, but
exactly.
our current correspondent in Sydney, Australia.
Absolutely.
Sandra, very good morning to you.
G'day, chaps. How are you?
Very well indeed.
Very well indeed,
Are
thank
you
you.
watching the tennis?
I have been watching a bit of the tennis.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because Porky's been taking to giving us sort of updates on it, which is vaguely amusing since he doesn't know very much about it.
Well, I do. I know that Maria Sharapova's got
nice
through
orange
Sandra.
dress on.
Yeah, no, she had a pink dress on, actually.
No, it was orange.
No, it was orange. She had an orange dress on. And I have to say, Sandra, that because I'm somewhat of an aficionado of fashion, you've got to remember that when we have Wimbledon here in the Northern Hemisphere, the players are only allowed to wear white, all of them, right? So when it gets down to the first one of the year, which is yours, of course, in Australia, it's a real old-fashioned parade, isn't it?
Mm.
It is a bit of a fashion parade, and I have to say the women love to put on their best finery, and they always manage to surprise with colours and sort of,
Exactly.
lengths and different styles.
Exactly. But you're always guaranteed the weather, of course, which can't be guaranteed in this part of the world. So that's probably why they take an extensive wardrobe of designer wear, which is, of course, what they do. And then they get paid millions of pounds for wearing that stuff, don't they?
They sure do, and at the moment they'll have plenty because in Melbourne it's an absolute scorcher of a day.
Really? Yeah. I couldn't stand that.
Do you want to carry on talking about the weather?
No, but I mean, it is a very important aspect of life in Australia. You wouldn't know because you've never been there, have you?
I haven't, no.
No, he's never been there, Sandra, so, an imminent visit seems appropriate, so I'll stoke him up
get
for
there.
it.
It's on the bucket list. I'll get to Australia before I die, and I'll remember going as well, unlike you. Now, Sandra, let's talk about this massive shark, the mega shark, caught by the cameras off the coast of Adelaide. What's being said about it? And Porky said to me yesterday there was some belief that it might be some kind of prehistoric monster.
Yes.
Well, the sharks apparently are prehistoric, but this one is right here and right now, and it was spotted by the Westpac Helicopter Rescue Service, and they followed it and chased it out to sea. But all the experts are saying it is the biggest one ever captured on camera. It's amazing. It's 7 metres long, which is sort of the size of your average lounge room. It's huge.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds huge. When you say it's the biggest ever spotted, it still can't be captured, can it? Or hurt or destroyed or, I don't know, injected with drugs or anything, because if that got inland and attacked somebody, there would be no question of survival of the victim, would there?
You would not survive an encounter with a 7-metre great white shark. No way. It would be an absolute miracle. You'd be walking on water if you did.
Yeah, crikey, you're absolutely right, yeah.
So, I mean, presumably these stories of it being a slightly odd creature or a slightly strange, sort of unknown strain of shark, that's not true. It just happens to be quite a big one.
Yes, it's a big one. It's a great white, and they can get really big. And as the experts and the Shark Alert South Australia organisation are saying, it is the largest one that they've ever managed to capture on film, which is why they can prove that it is 7 metres long. And to put that in context, that's as big as the shark that was featured in that movie Jaws.
Yeah, and that was a mechanical shark, wasn't it? It was made of, sort of aluminium and rubber.
It wasn't mechanical, was it?
Well,
how was it mechanical?
Well, because it wasn't a real shark, was it?
But it wasn't. So it was a dummy shark. It wasn't a mechanical shark.
It was. It was a very early. I mean, even Spielberg said it was very, very hard to even put it together because the facilities they had in those days were so limited. I mean, there was no.
Well, nowadays they just use CGI, wouldn't they?
Yeah, of course they would. Yeah, as they've done in that film I was telling you about yesterday with
what film?
The guy got attacked by the bear.
Hey?
Leonardo DiCaprio. Yeah, that's him, yeah.
The Revenant.
Yes, The Revenant, yes. Is it hit Australia yet?
That movie, yes, it has.
Oh, is it? Yeah.
There's more evidence that you think Australia is on another planet.
No, I don't.
Have you got theatres there where you can watch movies?
No.
They get released at the same time. Amazing.
No, don't be ridiculous. Now, I'll tell you what I was going to ask you, Sandra, because you've just said about the temperature in Melbourne, right? Now, I don't understand the balance of power between Sydney and Melbourne. Neither, of course, are the Australian capital, but everybody talks about going to Sydney as the city. But when you look at Melbourne, all its sporting facilities, and the fact that the Melbourne Cup is one of the most famous horse races in the world, and the sort of boating and yachting facilities in Melbourne, is it a superior...
Formula One races there as well.
Formula One races there, thank you very much indeed. Is it a superior city to Sydney?
Well, Melburnians like to think it is, and Sydney-siders will tell you the opposite. But I have to say, I was born and bred in Melbourne, and then I moved to Sydney, and I would choose Sydney over Melbourne any day.
Why?
Oh, it's so much more beautiful. It's just a stunning, beautiful city with the harbour and the incredible beaches that are so close to everything. Melbourne's a lovely city, and it is. It does consider itself the sporting capital of Australia. You're right on that.
Yes. I get the sense that Sydney's more cosmopolitan as well, isn't it?
Well, yes, I would say so. It's definitely more international. You know, every visitor who comes to Australia goes to Sydney. Not every visitor who comes to Australia goes to Melbourne.
No, that's absolutely true.
Did you go to Melbourne when you were there?
No, I didn't. No. When you fly from London, you fly to Sydney. You don't fly to Melbourne. I mean, you would, I suppose, if you were watching the tennis or something like that. But, you know, you're absolutely right. And the Sydney Harbour Bridge and the Sydney Opera House and all that kind of stuff. I suppose people actually in Sydney regard the Melbournians as a bit sort of lower class, do they?
Not lower class.
Well, you know what I mean.
They don't have a class system in Australia.
Well, you know, the thicker.
You know, they have a class system in this country which you perpetuate not every night on this show.
You know, you've got to have standards.
He's so riven with this class hatred of his that he tries to export it to other countries, Sandra.
No, not at all. Where is Goolagong Grammar School, which is your best school, Sandra?
Goolagong Grammar School? You mean Geelong Grammar?
That's the one, yeah.
Goolagong was one of our famous tennis players.
That's right, that was Yvonne Goolagong.
Yvonne Goolagong.
Yeah, exactly.
No, Geelong Grammar is about a 45-minute drive outside of Melbourne.
Oh, is it? I see. So they've got the best school then. Yeah. They've got the Eton College of Australia, yeah?
Why do you keep trying to make out
that's where Prince Charles actually went to school.
Yeah,
that's
why are you making out some kind of upper class thing going on there?
No, I'm not. I'm not.
Well, obsessed with class.
No, I'm not. I'm not obsessed with class. I mean, for instance, Sandra, have you? Maybe this is a stupid question because you might have done it 50 times.
Almost certainly.
No, but have you been to the Melbourne Cup? You know, when the whole of the country closes down and ladies like yourself of class and distinction dress up in your fineries, dress up in your fineries, and get down to the old Melbourne Cup.
I have been to the Melbourne Cup several times as a spectator and also as a working journalist. So it's a pretty spectacular event to go to.
I was going to say.
More fun as a spectator.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with you. Who wants to work at events like that? It's like the Epsom Derby in this country, you know?
Yeah, Porky used to be seen being stretchered out of the, what was it? It was the Duracell tent, wasn't it? It was the Duracell tent, wasn't it?
Well, actually...
It was stretchered out about 4 p.m, almost before the last race.
No, it's such good fun actually covering the Epsom Derby. You can be stretched out of the press room.
This is when you work being covered.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
it's when you work covering it. Now, talking about, expensive tastes and everything, I read an interesting piece this week, Sandra, about Tesla, Australia. You know these electric cars that are on sale all over the world for a very large amount of money. I think about $150,000 they generally go for. And there's a bit of a spate of them being bought in Sydney, apparently.
There is. There are a bunch of, you'd have to call them techno geeks, I imagine. Yeah. But there's about 12 cars, 12 of the Model S's have been sold in Sydney over the last, I think, about 6 months.
Right.
And down here, they sell for over 200,000 Australian dollars, which is a huge pile of cash.
Right. Sure, certainly is.
How's that compared to like a Ferrari or something?
About the same.
Oh, I think a Ferrari would, around the same, I'd say.
Yeah, probably, or a bit more. Ferrari's a bit more. Well, if it's the Ferrari that Lewis Hamilton's currently driving around in, that's $1 million. But the thing about these is, see, I'm very surprised that Australians have taken to these Tesla cars, Sandra, because I've always regarded Australian people as, incredibly sensible people, see the world pragmatically from the right side of the glass and all that kind of stuff. And these Tesla cars are just a load of rubbish because they haven't got an engine. They literally haven't got an engine.
They don't need an engine, that's the point.
No, I saw one on display in a shopping centre in this country down on the coast where I live.
In a shopping centre?
Yeah, well, Gunwharf Quays down
at... What was it doing there? It was one of those ones you can win.
It was a demonstration. There were 3 of them parked in the square in the middle, and all these little kids were amazed when their fathers opened the bonnet of the car, the hood, and found no engine. And I mean, cars have to have engines or else they're not proper cars, are they?
Well, these don't have engines. They've got a series of batteries, which are, interestingly, of course, where do you get the electricity for the batteries? So you get it from coal-fired electricity stations, power stations. Yeah. And it sort of makes a bit of a mockery of the whole thing that they're a super green car.
I agree. And also, when you stop and sort of power the things up, do you have any of these in Australia where people can actually park in a Sydney street and find a plug and plug them in?
There's loads of them, yeah.
There are about 4 supercharging stations, they call them, along the highway. They've put them along the highway from Melbourne to Sydney, right, simply because they the owners like to drive that one 8-hour route and see how far they go. And now there's 4 supercharging stations down that highway. So then there's a couple around Sydney as well.
God, that's amazing. And that's 8 hours, is it, that journey from Sydney to Melbourne, yeah?
Yeah, if you don't stop.
If you don't stop. And is that a particularly attractive journey?
What is this, like a travelogue or something?
Yes.
Eh?
Yes.
Why are you talking about the journey from Sydney to Melbourne?
Because I'm very interested. If one of those Tesla cars is doing it,
the Tesla, the car story I want to talk about is the Tesla car catching fire and blowing up.
Well, why don't you talk about it then, instead of just sitting there doing nothing?
Instead of waiting to hear your kind of your take on what the beautiful desert looks like in southern Australia.
Yeah, I'm interested in the American.
Well,
if
you've been paying attention to Twitter, you've noticed that Sandra had actually tweeted a story earlier about this problem in Norway where somebody went to charge their car and it went on fire.
Yeah, it did. It caught on fire, and the fire officers in Norway went and looked at it, and they said, "Well, we're just going to let that burn to the ground." But apparently, it has happened several times with the Tesla, and even provoking Elon Musk to put out a statement last year that they were looking into it, and it was when the batteries caught fire, and he still says that other normal cars catch fire more often than the Tesla, but it doesn't look good for such a super luxury brand.
Well, I mean, what is the incentive for an Australian to pay, a huge amount of money, 200,000 Australian dollars, for a car that A, might burst into flames, B, is just a fad that'll never catch on in Australia, and basically is just a gimmick?
It is a gimmick, but I think the people who are buying it have this conceit that they're greenies and they're buying a car that has no emissions. So I think that's the big attraction for them. And as we know, it's not that green really when you think about it, and especially when you see all that smoke going up into the air when they catch fire. There's a lot of carbon emissions there.
That is, yeah,
exactly.
So you're not going to buy one anytime soon, in other words.
Me, no.
No, I wouldn't have thought so. You're a pragmatic and sensible woman, Sandra. I'd be very disappointed if I saw you driving around in a Tesla. Ferrari, yeah, that would suit you, no doubt about it.
I quite like the idea of one of these cars, actually. I'm going to see if I can maybe get my hands on
one.
No, Sandra,
don't be ridiculous.
Thank you very much, as ever, for joining
Sandra,
us. I'm sorry for
as ever, thank you
really
very much indeed.
stupid, inane questions that Porky asked you.
It's always my pleasure, chaps.
Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much indeed.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know why you waste time talking to somebody so far away
don't you think
about the weather. About, is it a nice drive?
Don't you think it's interesting to know what the route between Australia's 2 main cities is, Melbourne to Australia? I do.
Because nobody drives it.
Because, listen, let me tell you this.
Everybody flies it.
If you could unaided drive from Leeds to London, that would take you 2 hours.
Unaided?
Yeah,
you mean in one shot?
Yeah, unencumbered.
Yeah.
Unencumbered, right? In one shot, that'd take you 2 hours.
Yeah.
So imagine getting in your car in London, in North London, where you were brought up, driving through North London to the M1, on the M1 up to Leeds.
Yeah.
You get to Leeds, you come off the motorway, you turn round, you come back.
Yeah.
To London.
Right.
And then you go round the North Circular, and then you turn around and you go back to Leeds.
Why would you do all that?
Well, because I'm just telling you, because then you get to Leeds and drive back to London.
I used to live in America.
Yes.
Right. I used to drive hundreds and hundreds of miles.
Yes.
So I know what driving for a long way is. Is that what you're trying to explain?
What I'm trying to explain to you is it's going up and down to Leeds twice. That's 4 journeys. And,
Leeds is probably more than 2 hours, actually.
It's not, it's 2 hours. It's exactly 2 hours from the North Circular to Leeds.
I don't think so. You might do it when you've done it about 130 miles an hour.
How far is it from...
I mean, the fastest I've ever gone to Scotland I think, was just under 6 hours from London.
Yeah, well, maybe.
From the base of the bottom of the M1.
Yeah, maybe.
So I would say Leeds is more like a minimum of 3.
How far... I'm trying to remember how long it took me to drive from New York to Boston.
It probably would have taken you about 6 or 7 hours.
6 hours, I think it was. I think you're right. Yeah, and I went faster than normal Americans. Normal Americans only travel at 45 miles an hour.
Well, the speed limit's 55.
Slow coaches.
Although in Massachusetts, I think it's 65 now.
Is it? Well, in the days when I was doing it, it was 45. Oil crisis.
No, it was never 45.
It was.
Not on the highways.
It was.
No, it wasn't. You were there at the same time I was.
No, it was.
This is Talk Sport. We're the two mics.
If you fancy a flutter on the football, a gamble on the golf, a double on the darts, or a treble on the tennis, you're in luck. Get closer to the action every weekend with Betway's Man in the Know on the Weekend Sports Breakfast with Georgie Bingham and Mickey Quinn. Bringing you all the form on the football, the going at Goodwood, the tries at Twickenham and the overs at the Oval. Every Saturday and Sunday morning from 7 on Talk Sport with Betway. Bet now at betway.com.
An incredible new you starts with Nicorette Quick Mist Rapid Relief Mouth Spray. It gets to work on your cravings fast, making you 150% more likely to quit for good compared to willpower alone. Nicorette Quick Mist. Do something incredible. Stop smoking aid. Contains nicotine. Requires willpower. Always read the label.
If you've recently noticed that you're starting to lose your hair, there are a range of options open to you. You could have a hair transplant, as long as you're earning as much as a Premier League footballer. For the more thrifty amongst us, there's always the classic comb-over. Or if you really want to make a statement, why not go all out and get yourself a poodle perm wig? However, if you want to do something effective, you're going to need facts, not fiction. Regain for Men Extra Strength Scalp Foam contains minoxidil, which has been scientifically proven to help stop and even reverse hereditary hair loss, working deep down at the root. It can be used on a receding hairline, and the earlier you start using it, the higher your chances of success. You could even start seeing visible results in 16 weeks. And now Regain has an app that gives you support and advice to track your progress and maintain your twice-daily routine. Separate the facts from the fiction at regain.co.uk. Regain contains minoxidil. Always read the label.
Talk Sport.
What a header!
Better looking by far.
Even on sensitive skin.
Talk Sport.
We are the two mics. We've got Ask Porky coming up in the next hour, of course. Thanks very much to Sandra Lee. Got quite a few tweets from people following that conversation.
Oh, yes.
Including this from F, who says, should Porky, he's asking Sandra, should Porky be given diazepam or lithium? I'm not quite sure why he's saying that.
Should what?
Should Porky be given diazepam or lithium?
What's he talking about?
I don't know. Well, those are two kind of downers, aren't they? That you would take in order to sort of suppress your excitement.
Oh, really?
Bill says this, give my regards to everyone in Yvonne Goolagong Junior High in Melbourne.
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
Max says... the only
Geelong, it's called Geelong Grammar School.
Geelong, yeah. Scary stuff for us in Perth, says Stuart. We now know that Porky has told us about sharks coming inland. Which I think you probably didn't mean, did you?
What did I say?
You said they were coming inland.
No, inshore. Yeah.
And then Max says the only thing class about Porky is a Class A numpty.
What?
And Tom says, boys, I live in Melbourne now. I used to live in Sydney. Melbourne is a far better city to live. It certainly beats Preston anyway.
Well,
I suppose it would be better than
no,
Preston.
I think Preston's a fine city. I like Preston.
Really?
Good city.
Oh, okay.
Davy Moyes used to manage the football team there.
Well, he did indeed.
Preston North End.
Yeah, David Beckham used to play as well, though, didn't he?
Well, David Beckham was on loan there.
Yeah.
and he turned up there in a Ford Escort, which later got sold for £17,000 because his name was on the logbook. Yeah,
not to your mate who put 4 people in the back of it.
No, exactly not.
A lot of people have said on your John Wayne conversation, it was True Grit was the film you were thinking of.
True Grit, that's the one. Yes, thank you very much indeed.
Obviously, we'll have to see whether that figures in the John Wayne quiz.
That song we just played, January by Pilot. Now,
it's taken me back to some horrible kind of memories of that kind of music, that kind of bubblegum music.
I thought it was pretty. Well, I thought that January one was
in a year when a couple of weeks we were playing a lot of David Bowie and the Eagles. Now, to hear that is pretty awful.
Because I believe in being an observer of life. I am a trained observer, but as well as the seeker of truth and justice.
Yeah, indeed.
It came to me that look who we've lost this month alone, and these are just big names, right?
Yeah.
David Bowie.
Yeah.
The guy from Eagles.
Glenn Frey.
Yeah. Stu Stewpot.
Yeah.
Ed Stewart, the DJ.
Yeah.
Alan Rickman.
Yeah.
Now, they're only the big names.
What about Lemmy? Wasn't he January as well?
Lemmy, thank you very much indeed. So that's 5 really big names, okay? But for every big name that dies, 1,000 people.
And also the Mott the Hoople guy from last night.
Mott the Hoople guy, thank you very much. The drummer from Mott the Hoople. So that's 6 big names.
Yeah.
And for every big name that dies, 10,000 ordinary people die, okay?
Yeah.
Who we'd never heard of. Now, I went and thought this is a bit odd, so I looked it up. And in fact, January is the peak time of the year for deaths.
Is it?
It's the peak
time. In every place in the world or just here?
Right, in the Western world, this is an incredible statistic. How many months are there in a year?
12.
So what is 1 month as a percentage of 100?
What?
8.5.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, okay.
Right?
Okay.
So really, if people died evenly across the year, then you would say that 8.5% of people die in January, February, March.
Yeah.
Guess how many percentage of people die in January every year? 21%.
Well, you didn't let me answer.
No, well, I thought I wouldn't have you just guessing randomly. I thought I'd tell you.
Well, you'd already told me that more did.
Yeah.
So, in other words, nearly 3 times as many as would be the average. So.
In the United Kingdom...
What's the least likely month of death?
I didn't actually find that out, to be honest, but I would imagine sometime in the summer because it's not cold and people don't get pneumonia and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
Because that might skew the figures. Because, a number of people, for example, whenever there's a conversation about some new flu virus that's coming and a flu vaccine that you should take, it's always pointed out that actually a number of people who die just of ordinary flu every single year, either because they're old or frail or whatever, is in the tens of thousands. In winter.
By the way, do you know I didn't have my flu jab in September last year, September, October.
Have one.
And guess what? I haven't had a cold or flu.
Because remember you got it last year.
I had 2 bad attacks last year, and the year before I had a really bad one, lasted about 3 weeks.
Yeah.
I didn't have the jab last September, October, and I haven't got the flu this year.
Well,
Fingers
because
crossed.
Remember last year I said to you, because there were stories around last year that said actually the flu jab's useless. There's no point in having it.
Now then, I found out why this might happen, right?
Yeah.
And January's the peak time of the year for deaths. It's for many reasons. Some are quite straightforward, cold weather, but others are more complex, such as our genes.
Oh, yeah.
Now, quirks of the human psyche play a crucial part too. January includes the most depressing day of the year.
Right.
It's the 3rd Monday of the month. It's identified by...
That was Blue Monday just passed, wasn't it?
Blue Monday just passed.
Yeah.
A Welsh psychologist, Dr. Cliff Arnall...
Arnall,
Arnall,
okay.
In 2005, and he based it on a formula said to weigh factors such as weather, debt, the time elapsed since Christmas, and failed New Year's resolutions. If you apply a sadness logarithm to all these factors, you get Blue Monday, which has happened this week, okay?
Yeah.
Now,
I didn't feel particularly depressed or anything on Monday, did you?
Well, only that I had to come and work with you Monday night. Ha, 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 ha. Right.
This, so charming.
This calculation may
with any other Monday would be the same, though, wouldn't it?
Sorry?
Any other Monday would be the same. You would feel the same any other Monday coming to work with me.
I was making a joke with it, actually.
No, I know, but I'm saying you didn't feel any worse particularly.
No, I didn't. No. I felt better, actually, because I felt it's a new year, new challenges ahead.
Yeah.
Let's get on with it, you know. Now...
a bar of chocolate while you speak to me.
Why are you doing that for?
Well, because I'm going to have some chocolate in a while.
Well, that's disgusting.
Well, it's not disgusting.
It is. It's disgusting to eat during
I'm not going to eat it
program.
Now. I was just a bit peckish.
Not only that, but I mean, you know, your job is to communicate with people via your mouth.
Yeah.
And so you shouldn't be eating.
And my brain.
Well, there's a debate about that one. Now then, people in low mood in the early winter hang on in the hope that Christmas and New Year will bring better things.
Yes.
So December sees a drop in the suicide rate.
Okay.
People think, well, you know, I'm getting to the end of this year.
I would have thought that maybe more that it would go up for people who are a bit lonely around that time.
I'll tell you something. Watching a bit of Coronation Street just lately.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, and that's going to feature, by the way, in Porky.
Tomorrow night.
Oh, yeah. Big star. I've got a lot to say about the Christmas Day version.
Is Tracy still in it?
Yeah, still in it, yeah.
Really?
But
she survived then?
Well, her former husband is in jail for killing, another member of the street.
Right.
Someone who gets killed at Christmas.
Yeah.
And I was going to say that it shows a bit of Christmas inside jail. I would definitely commit suicide. I couldn't possibly...
What, in jail?
Oh, without a shadow of a doubt.
Why?
Because to be incarcerated at a time when the rest of your family are all enjoying, mince pies and waiting for Santa to come down the chimney and all that kind of stuff. Oh, no, I couldn't bear it. Anyway, let me get to this one.
Right.
So December sees a drop in the suicide rate, which experts call the postponing effect, okay?
I think Serena Williams must have won, by the way. There's somebody else playing tennis.
Yeah, she has. She's won and flounced off in a yellow dress.
David Goffin.
You're absolutely right.
Who's David Goffin?
But in January... Excuse me. Pay attention.
Sorry.
In January, you get the rebound effect, okay?
Yeah.
Now, seriously ill, believe it or not, people who are seriously ill physically also hang on to life at Christmas and New Year.
Right.
Psychologically, they say it's a final chance to see loved ones and enjoy the emotional warmth of the season. And a study by sociologists at the State University of New York found a similar peak in survival rates around people's birthdays.
Oh, yeah. People
like to sort of get over their birthday. Now, an obvious killer in January is cold weather, and last year proved particularly grim.
So this isn't the same, for example, in other parts of the world where it's warmer at this time of year?
No, this is not Mediterranean. This is the UK.
Okay.
Because we are in Northern Europe, okay?
Well, hang on, but some of the people who died in America then don't count, do they? So David Bowie died in America.
Yes.
Lemmy died in America.
Yes.
Glenn Frey died in America.
Yes, indeed.
So they can't be fed into your poll.
Yes, they can. Yes, they can.
No, they can't, because they're English people, but they lived in America.
Yeah, but they're in the Northern Hemisphere.
Well, that's what I asked you.
Yes,
you said this was only a UK thing.
No, I didn't say that. And there's parts of America which are very cold. Let me get on.
Yeah, go on, hurry up.
Cold weather too, an obvious factor. Last year proved particularly grim. In January 2015, the death rate, get this, peaked at more than 30% above the average for that month over the previous 10 years. In those 4 weeks...
This was in January of 2015?
Yes, in January...
Last year?
Yes, January 2015.
Right.
In those 4 weeks... 12,500 more people passed away than usual. Public Health England said the statistically significant excess in deaths coincided with serious cold snaps and other factors. But they didn't say what they are.
Oh, right.
Sad fact is, Britain is comparatively very poor at protecting itself against killer chill diseases. Figures from the Office for National Statistics say countries in Scandinavia and Northern Europe, apart from the UK, that endure bitterly cold winters, have lower excess winter mortality than Britain. So we're very bad at it in this country.
Really?
Well,
it hasn't even been that cold this winter. I mean, this week's been the first week we've actually had any seriously cold temperatures. But actually saw some frost on a car yesterday.
Oh, I did as well, yeah. But in fact, my car skidded the other morning.
So you drive too fast?
No, I don't drive too fast. It was
your car should not be skidding.
Well, it did. I came up
you got brand new tyres.
A slope, yeah,
it's a brand new car.
It's true.
Why did it skid then? You must have put your foot on the brakes too quickly.
But anyway, look, we've always been bad at looking after people in cold weather in this country. That's why we give old people cold weather payments.
Yeah.
But it seems like it's not working.
No, of course it's not working. No. You can't. I mean, the whole cold weather payment system is a nonsense. People get it when they're living abroad. People get it who don't need it.
Yeah.
People don't, actually sometimes use the money to make their house warmer
Sir
anyway.
Alan Sugars gets it, right? And he wrote a piece and he tried to send it back and they couldn't send it back.
Yeah, I know.
Nobody would take it back off him.
I know. It's
utterly
nonsense.
ridiculous.
It's absolutely ludicrous.
Yeah.
Now, coming up in the next hour, we've got Ask Porky.
Yeah.
We've got a bunch of other things as well, because I want to tell you about a new idea for living to survive floods.
A new idea for living to survive floods?
Yeah, it's a new idea
from a guy... Don't buy a house on a floodplain.
Well, no.
Is one idea.
It's actually a guy who's designing new houses, a guy called Pete Benison.
What, that float?
They do float.
Yeah.
But thanks for giving that away. I was going to save that until
it's pretty obvious, isn't it? Pretty obvious.
Why is it pretty obvious?
It's obvious.
Well, you'll be able to explain how it works.
Yes, then. I will, yes.
This is TalkSport. We are the two mics. We've got loads and loads of texts and tweets to get to. Some of them regarding the Jaws film, actually. Steve says Jaws was indeed a mechanical shark. As a matter of fact, when you could only see the shark's fin, there was no shark underneath it. It was balanced on top of a machine that dragged it through the water.
That's right.
And Ginger says the shark in Jaws was mechanical, and the reason the shark wasn't seen very much in the film was it kept breaking down.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, it wasn't really a mechanical shark.
And in fact, it broke down when it was on the back of the boat in the final scenes.
Yeah.
And they had to sort of, literally, I'm told, the mechanical bits of it broke down so badly that human beings had to get, like wrenches, like in an old-fashioned car, and you had to turn the engine to get it started and all that kind of stuff.
I mean, it looked ridiculously unlike a shark at that moment when it came up on the boat, didn't it?
It did, absolutely.
Still a great film, though.
Now, listen, do you think I get too distracted at work sometimes?
Well, I don't really see you at work. I mean, the only time I see you at work is literally in here.
That's what I'm saying. We are at work now.
Well,
and you're always accusing me of going off on a tangent or getting distracted.
Well, you do get distracted, but, I mean, you get distracted by yourself. You don't get distracted by other things. I mean, for example, you won't ever listen to anything I say because you're too busy thinking about the next thing you're going to say.
Well, do you know why I get distracted?
Why?
I'm too bright.
Is that right?
Yeah. Now, you might think that is a wild claim.
Well, I mean, it's almost naturally the kind of claim you would make.
Hang on. Intelligent people may have more difficulty in the workplace because they are easily distracted, right?
You told me this the other day.
I didn't.
You're so distracted you've forgotten you've already talked about this.
No.
Yeah, you did.
Research suggests they can have difficulty prioritising, right? I didn't tell you that.
You did. You told me all this the other day.
You sure I told you all this?
Yeah, I'm sure you have.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you told me it on Monday night. Yeah.
Okay.
I want to tell you about this floating house that I found.
Yeah, go on.
Have a look at this picture. I'll tweet this out in a little while. Look at that picture. Isn't that cool?
Yeah, I told you about the floating house before the break.
No, you didn't tell me about the floating house. I'm telling you about the floating house.
No, you told me about houses which are being made to beat floods. And I said, you mean the floating house?
No, that's the floating house.
Well, I know all about the floating house.
Well, tell me about it then.
Well, the floating house is built on foundations which are waterproof and, in fact, buoyant.
No, it's not.
Yes, they are.
No, it's built on two narrow pontoons. It's a catamaran-style house.
Exactly.
Well,
that's exactly what I said.
Well, it doesn't have foundations.
The foundations are waterproof, therefore they're buoyant.
Well, no, there are no foundations. The foundations of a house are what basically puts the house into the ground.
The pontoons are buoyant, right?
Yeah, so it doesn't have foundations.
A pontoon is their foundation. If they didn't have the pontoon, they'd sink into the water. So that it is their foundation.
I see what you mean.
Right?
Right.
A pontoon is something which floats, but is easily managed. It can adapt to tidal pulls and flows, and water's going up and down.
I mean, it's effectively a boat on water, which is what they're suggesting. But instead of living on a houseboat, which is inevitably small and cramped and probably a bit smelly and damp, I mean, this is a brand new kind of architect design.
But a pontoon, if you look at the definition, is also connected to the land.
Well, it can be tethered,
that's what I mean. You see, think of when I cross Portsmouth Harbour from one side to the other, you have to get onto the ferry at the pontoon.
Yeah.
But the reason for that is, of course, that the harbour is very tidal. Yeah. I would say by about 12 feet.
Yeah. You're talking about a jetty, though, aren't you?
Well, no, it's called the pontoon.
It might be called the pontoon, but it's not really a pontoon.
Because it has to be able to move up and down, is attached to the land, and able to accommodate a boat at any depth on lower high tide.
Surely it's a jetty.
No, it's not. Honestly, it's a pontoon.
How is it different from a jetty, then?
A jetty is fixed. A pontoon is not. That's the whole point.
Oh, I see, because it floats.
Exactly.
That's what you're saying.
That's exactly.
Well, these things can go on the water as well, because they're designed to actually sail. But in addition to being, very, very beautiful inside, they'll cost about £100,000.
Yes.
They can be docked pretty much anywhere. You don't need planning permission to build them.
Yes.
Right? It has all sorts of advantages. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd often thought, except for the fact that the tidal sort of drop and rise down at the Thames where I live, it's so massive. It's about 50 or 60 feet.
50 or 60 feet, that's quite a lot.
The tide goes out to such an extent, in fact, that the little ferry boat that goes between the Hilton down there and Canary Wharf, when the tide is very low, it can't go.
Is it right?
Because there's actually not enough space for the draft of the boat.
I didn't know that.
Underneath it, So, but I mean, it'd be a great place to live, wouldn't it? Just on the side of the River Thames, opposite Canary Wharf, on a boat. That was designed by an architect that was like a sort of 3-bedroom, beautiful modern dwelling.
Have you ever been to Hampton Court?
Not recently.
Right, but you have been to Hampton Court.
A long time ago,
If you go up to Hampton Court from the Scilly Isles roundabout, you come up to Hampton Court on your right, and then, first of all, you go over the River Thames. Right. And Hampton Court is down on your right. If you turn left...
Is that in that bendy bit of the Thames as well, around Richmond? It's beyond Richmond, isn't it?
It's not near Richmond, actually. It is Hampton Court.
Yeah, but it's not far from Richmond.
It's nearer Teddington and that sort of place, But anyway, the point is, when you get over the river, it's an old stone-built bridge. Yeah. You can then turn left, and then you're going to a place called Hampton in Arden. Right. And eventually you're going, actually, on the old road to Heathrow towards the M3. Ah. But the point of my story, and I think you pass, the island?
Strawberry Hill?
No.
Eel Pie Island?
Eel Pie Island, that's right,
Big Townsend's place.
That's right, yeah. Now, the point is, all the way down that road on the left are floating homes.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not longboats, they're not barges like you see in Chelsea Harbour, you know what I mean?
Right.
They are homes on pontoons on the river.
What, sort of quite expensive-looking homes?
Very expensive-looking homes, but they are built on floating foundations, i.e. the pontoon you're talking about.
Right.
However...
Are they all different sorts of styles, then?
All different sorts of styles. It's not like some guy came along and built 50 of them, you know what I mean? They're all different sorts of styles, and they've all been moved into place successively over 100 years, I'm told. But the point of the story is, it still wouldn't be very nice to live there, in my view, because you're way down from the riverbank, on the edge of the river.
Yeah.
I believe...
Well, it depends, I suppose, on things like access to what... I mean, because you can't presumably just put one of these boats outside somebody's house.
No. There's nothing between the road and where they are except a steep bank of the river.
That's what I mean, but so there's nowhere to park a car or something like that.
Well, this is what I'm saying. No park car and all that kind of stuff. But the worst problem... because I've been at parties around there and spoken to people who sort of got friends who live and all that, is there is an awful lot of vermin around on the edge of a river, you know.
Vermin?
Yeah.
What, you mean homeless people?
No. I mean rats, voles, water rats, water snakes, all that kind of stuff.
And in the summer, I imagine it's quite buggy as well.
It's quite buggy in the summer.
A lot of midges.
Yeah, midges and all that kind of stuff. And it is a very unsettled existence.
Yeah.
Because every boat that goes past, bearing in mind the river's not that wide at that point, has a wake.
Yes.
A boat creates
a
wake.
It swings and roundabouts, isn't it? Because if you were to live in a place like Teddington, which is quite expensive,
yes.
I mean, you wouldn't get a house by the river for probably less than £1 million or something.
2 million probably.
And whereas if you've got a boat that costs you $100,000 to build, and you moor it there for I don't know how much you pay for a year.
It's not a boat, you see. It is a house on
that's what I mean. But
a floating house.
But so I mean, it would be a lot cheaper, for example, wouldn't it?
I'm not sure, right? Listen, you know, you talked about that car. I meant to tell you about the
Tesla,
the Tulsa car.
Tesla.
Somebody sent me a book.
Tesla.
Yeah, the Tesla. Somebody sent me a book about the old what's the name? You know, the DeLorean car.
Oh yeah.
Somebody's written a book about it.
Have they?
And do you know what? That was manufactured in Belfast in the years when I was working there during the Troubles. Used to see the.
I'm surprised you didn't get yourself one for free to drive around it.
Well, do you know what? I worked on it once, and I went up to the factory for a test drive in one of these cars.
Right.
But the problem was there was a security scare that day, so they wouldn't let me drive it. But it was amazing. You used to see the the transporters taking the cars to the docks to export them. The problem was they were known as the silver coffins.
Yeah. They never really sold massive amounts,
No,
did they?
Didn't sell a lot at all. I mean, John Z. DeLorean, who was the founder of it, it soon all went bust, and the only reason he put it in Northern Ireland was because the British government paid for it to try and keep unemployment down.
Well, that was part of the scandal, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, yeah. But it never worked out, and in fact, nobody would ever remember the car at all if it wasn't for the fact that it was the car in...
Back to the Future.
Back to the Future, that's right,
Exactly.
absolutely. Yeah.
If only you could remember the name of the film. Now, we've still got tennis to bring you. Obviously, the Australian Open is underway. Mr. Parry will be keeping you updated on that. Coming up, we've got Ask Porky, of course, as well, and loads more next on TalkSport.
Indeed.
The turbocharged and remarkably affordable Mini Cooper 3-door hatch isn't hanging around. Because right now, it comes with a £1,000 deposit contribution on Mini Select Finance. Book a test drive at your nearest Mini Centre or mini.co.uk/turbo. Be quick. Finance from Mini Financial Services. Representative 5.9% APR. Subject to status. Deposit contribution offer ends 31st of March 2016. UK only. T's and C's apply and guarantees may be required. Other charges may apply. Test drive is subject to status and availability. Visit mini.co.uk/turbo.
So, you've compared 40 different holidays and already bought a new pair of budgie smugglers for the beach. But have you checked for ATOL protection? Check before you book your holiday, because if your travel company goes bust and isn't ATOL protected, you could lose your money or even be left stranded abroad. Make sure you get your ATOL certificate as soon as you pay. Keep it safe and take it with you, just in case. Remember, always check for ATOL protection before you book your holiday. Check out the facts at packpeaceofmind.co.uk. ATOL protected.
Left foot, right foot, left. Running would be left foot. So much more fun. Right foot. If it was five-a-side. With Lucas A Power League. Goes round the keeper and blasts it home. home! Get yourself fit in 2016 and have fun with Lucas Aid Power League. Join a competitive league today and your first match is free. Save up to £49.50. Get out, get fit, get in. With more locations than anyone else, visit your local centre or powerleague.co.uk.
The Form Zone on Talk Sport with Betfair. This is Play. Listen to Talk Sport throughout the weekend for Betfair's experts' essential guide to all the latest form and odds as all the big teams face off. Everything you need to keep ahead of the game and make sure you know where the smart money is this weekend. Enter the Form Zone every weekend on Talk Sport with Betfair, where you can cash out in play on single or accumulator bets, so you can take your winnings before the end of the match. Selected markets, conditions apply. Gambleaware.co.uk.
The Alan Brazil Sports Breakfast.
That's Thierry Henry.
Not
big.
Thierry.
This morning from 6.
Who's Thierry?
On Talk Sport.
We've teamed up with Barclays to inspire the next generation of young fans. Each week we're offering young fans the unforgettable experience of attending their first ever match. This week we're giving away a pair of tickets to Norwich versus Liverpool at Carrow Road on Saturday. So if you know a young Norwich fan that you'd like to take along to their first game, answer this question.
That's right. The question is, which striker scored his first Liverpool goal in the 1-1 draw against Norwich earlier this season? Was it A, Christian Benteke, or was it B, Danny Ings? Now, text the word first, that's F-I-R-S-T, followed by A for Christian Benteke, or B for Danny Ings, and send it please to 81089. Tickets are in the home end, I stress the home end. The competition closes at 5 p.m. this very evening.
As with all TalkSport competitions, text costs 50p and standard network charges apply. Head to talksport.com for full terms and conditions, and we'll also get you on air this Saturday to tell us all about your experience.
That's right. Get texting now to play first games on TalkSport with Barclays, championing the true spirit of the game.
We've got lots of great questions coming up for Ask Porky, it has to be said, in a little while from now.
Absolutely.
And then we've just announced for anyone who missed it that following Porky Vision tomorrow, the quiz this week will be on John Wayne.
John Wayne, that's right, yeah. And although many of you will not have been around long enough to have seen many John Wayne films, the man was a legend. We've done quizzes on other legends like Lord Nelson, and John Wayne deserves to be in that pantheon of greats from the past.
Now let me just read you this from Simon in Sheffield about Tesla. He says, Tesla has its own charge points at the Eurotunnel terminal and some motorway services.
Okay.
So these electric cars are going to become more and more popular.
No, they're not. It's just a fad. They'll just fizzle out.
No, I don't
they're
think
ridiculous.
They will. Look at for example, the hybrid cars.
Yes.
Which started out as just one particular Toyota Prius.
Yeah.
And now Mercedes make them. BMW make them. Everybody
just a
now
fad.
makes. But it's not a fad.
No, they'll die out as well.
I don't think it will.
They will die out as well.
I don't think so.
And as Sandra, very properly pointed out, the electricity should be produced by coal-fired power stations. Unfortunately, in this country, we've now gone so mad. The Prime Minister David Cameron has not realised that we're jacking up energy prices in this country all the time, making us uncompetitive with the rest of the world, because we tend to, for some unknown reason, let European people and strange coves like that tell us that you can't burn any more coal, even though we've got millions of tons of it.
Yeah.
We've got to import giant redwood trees from Canada at huge expense, shipping them across the Atlantic.
And get the Chinese to build a nuclear facility.
And get the Chinese to build a nuclear facility and burn chipwood in our power stations, which is 10 times the cost of coal. We closed another coal mine last week. The only coal mine left working in Yorkshire got closed last week. Why? Because the Chinese are opening a new coal-fired power station every week.
But isn't it because it's not economically efficient to get the coal out of the ground?
It is very economically efficient. It's much more expensive to rely on wind power, because that means you've got to build all these hideously ugly propeller things. What are they called? Windmills.
Wind farms.
Wind farms, right? And the cost of running those is about 100 times the cost of getting coal out the ground. Yeah. Literally 100 times the cost. A lot of the time they don't work anyway.
I'll have to take your word for this because you may well be right.
No, a lot of the time they don't work anyway. Yeah. If the wind is
a lot of the time they're actually not in business.
I was about to say.
Because for some reason the national grid has got a surplus of electricity, so they don't actually want any more.
Well, not only that, but if the wind doesn't blow hard enough, they don't go round. And if the wind blows too hard, they close them down in case the propellers come off and destroy wildlife and everything else.
I'm not greatly in favour of wind farms, I have to say. However, the world is changing and then things will change over time.
It's disgraceful.
By the way, talking of idiotic things that have been going on over time, did you see that story that was put out about the pollsters in the general election, about how they got the polls so wrong?
I saw your tweet on it, which is very good. They asked too many Labour voters who they going to vote for.
Labour voters who they were going to vote for, and they didn't ask enough Tories who they were going to vote for, which seems pretty basic if you're going to do a poll before a general election.
I think it's a silent majority. I think, for some unknown reason...
You did say this at the time.
Yeah. For some unknown reason, this country, if you admit to anybody that you actually like some policies put out by the Conservative government or the Tory party or something like that, you're branded as a right-wing fascist nutter scumbag who needs to be obliterated from the earth.
Yeah.
If you go around doing what most of the sort of, the lovey professions do and say... Well, everything that Labour does is good. We should all be kinder to each other and give away thousands of millions of pounds to other people in other countries and all this kind of stuff. And we should never allow any competition in this country because competition's bad, and don't tell children that they've come second and all this kind of stuff. Then the country just generates. But the thinking is you're thought to be a kind of person.
Yeah.
When an actor stands up in a theatre and says, on your way out, I want you to give all your money to, Syrian refugees, it sounds very good in theory. So you say, I can't say no to that.
No, of course.
Except that that money will be diverted to be used for terrorists and arms and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, it's always susceptible to it because you don't track your money, do you?
No.
But you've got a famous, well-known actor standing on stage using profanities about the government. The government just happens to be a Conservative government. We're going to do better than them. We'll sort this problem out. And it's just become now the fact that actually most people who are Conservatives don't admit to it because you get abuse from the other side, whereas the other side who admit to being whatever they are don't get abuse from the Conservatives.
But doesn't that now mean, though, for any future polling, and the reason I ask this is because people are now concerned about the upcoming EU referendum.
Yes, I totally agree.
Because what they're now saying is that not only did they make a complete hash of the poll for the general election, but the actual results of the polling might have put people off.
Yes.
It might have made people vote in a completely different way.
That's right.
Because they thought that the Labour Party were getting in or whatever. But so coming up to the EU referendum, what are the polls going to be saying, and can we believe anything they say?
Well, I just think that people attract so much criticism from others when they say that if you don't say that, I believe in every sort of kind policy.
Yeah.
The church believe in, quotes, kind policies.
Yeah.
The police force now believe in kind policies. Everybody
hasn't started investing in some rather unkind organisations.
No, exactly.
Funnily enough.
I totally agree. And it hasn't stopped the police from going around trying to persecute and prosecute people who've never committed any crimes or anything like that. You know, it's all very odd indeed, in my view, very odd indeed. But I think the silent majority are still sensible, and I think the most conservative people in this country are those that you would call, quotes, working class, i.e. blue collar, because blue collar people are aspirational.
Sure.
So they see all these very rich people spouting all these ludicrous policies about save the world, and people like Emma Thompson making statements on chat shows saying, well, of course, the temperature of the world's going to increase by 4 degrees within 20 years if we don't do something. And they think, well, she can sit there and say that because it doesn't affect her. She's got millions of pounds.
Yeah.
And anyway, that's my view on it.
Indeed.
Listen, are you already planning?
I didn't mean to divert you there, but I'm sorry. Carry on.
No, that's quite right.
Go on.
Are you already planning your summer holidays? I suppose you are, because you like taking your boys away, don't you?
Well, kind of, yeah. I mean, it's normally this time of year. It's one of those things you wish you did a lot earlier.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you what, I was looking already at a couple of places that I was thinking of getting maybe a little sort of holiday villa for a couple of weeks.
Where?
And they're all gone.
Where?
In Italy.
In Italy.
Because we haven't been to Italy with the boys yet.
Which part of Italy?
Well, I was looking in Tuscany.
Tuscany.
Because I thought that would be very nice.
Do a bit of painting, would you?
No, I don't paint.
Are there any beaches in Tuscany?
They're not, but they're quite close to the sort of the beaches of like Florence around that way.
So you'd be going to a farmhouse or something, would you?
Well, you'd be going to a villa in Tuscany, yeah.
Villa?
In the middle of the countryside.
Well, what is it for your children? Yeah, in the middle of the countryside. Yeah. What can your children do in the countryside in Italy?
Well, have a swimming pool.
That's rubbish.
What do you mean it's rubbish?
Well, everybody speaks Italian, so your kids wouldn't feel at home there at all.
Well, I'd hope that they would learn some Italian.
Well, I mean, kids like beaches. Kids like beaches.
Kids do like beaches. The beaches are not that far away.
Well, you just said they were. You said it's in the countryside.
No, it would be the same as when I got a house once outside of Barcelona. But it was about an hour. It was about an hour inland. But it meant that if you wanted to go, and it was near Girona actually. If you wanted to go to the beach, you could go to the beach, and the closest beach was about 45 minutes away, which is no distance at all.
Sounds like you haven't thought it out to me.
Well,
anyway,
where are you going for your summer holidays?
Well, I haven't decided yet. But
what do you mean you haven't decided? You don't go on holiday.
Well, I'm just about to tell you about a new.
Well, you better hurry up.
A new find, a new thinking pattern that I've come across. Right.
Oh yeah.
And that is that. 2 weeks holiday is bad for you. You should always settle for just one.
No, that's not true.
No, it's true.
Not true at all. 2 weeks is definitely required if you want to go and relax. What I've always said, actually, is about 10 days is about right. Mm-hmm. Sometimes 14 is too many.
Yeah.
But, sometimes you are hidebound by whatever, organisation you book the hotel through or what you book the villa through, that you tend to have 1 week or 2 weeks rather than 1.5.
Yeah.
Why is 2 weeks too long, then?
Right. I've done some research here. If we've budgeted for a summer holiday but can't decide between 2 weeks in an unremarkable apartment, like you're going to...
I wouldn't stay in an unremarkable apartment.
Or a week in a villa by the beach, you're better off taking the week in the villa by the beach and not the 2 weeks in the unremarkable apartment.
Well, that's obvious. That's like saying if you had to spend a week in a traffic jam trying to get to and from your holiday destination, you'd be better off flying.
When you're back at home...
You didn't hear what I said, did you?
Yes, I did.
What did I say?
You talked about traffic jams.
What did I say?
You talked about traffic jam. Don't interrupt.
You didn't hear it,
when you're back at home or at work, 2 pleasant but less memorable weeks won't feel any different from 1 great week.
Well, that's obvious.
Yet great holiday memories can be drawn on for a lifetime, OK?
Yeah, well, you haven't got any holiday memories apart from the ones when you were a kid because you've never been on holiday.
I don't like going on holiday because I feel it wrecks your...
You're just worried somebody's going to take your place while you're away.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, you are.
No,
that's
I'm not.
why you don't want to go on holiday.
I'm not. I don't have any fears of that at all.
Yeah, you do.
Look, can I tell you, if there was somebody around... If there was somebody around who's better at this job than me, I would happily...
I'm not talking about this particular job.
I would happily step aside and say, that's fine. I believe in competition.
I'm not talking about... I'm not talking about this particular job. I'm talking about any job that you would have.
In any job you're in, you should always be prepared for the fact that somebody who is better could come along.
Yes.
And when they do, that's it, pal. You've got to step aside.
Indeed.
Otherwise, you're tempting fate.
Well, I think that's why you don't go on holiday. But we'll talk some more about that.
I don't have any fears.
And it is that time of the week when it's Ask Porky time. And, of course, there's always a very, very big range, a broad range of questions.
Yeah.
Some of them just seeking information. Some of them helping people out with whatever dilemmas they may have and their lives sorting out. Sometimes there's financial questions. Sometimes matters of the heart.
Indeed.
So we've got a great deal of different ones here. So if you don't mind, we'll just get straight into them.
I think we should.
Here's one from Mark, which is a bit philosophical to begin with. He sent this into Facebook. He says, Porky, what advice do you have on being the perfect man?
Being the perfect man?
Yeah.
No such thing as the perfect man. However, what you can do is you can live your life by your own conscience. So, for instance, I would always want to be known as a person who was polite and kind to those whom didn't have as good a life as me. I would always like to be a man who was seen to be respectful to women, respectful to my elders, respectful to those in positions of authority, providing they're doing their jobs properly, and respectful to the orderly nature of the world. To be a perfect man, you've got to be able to live with yourself. If you wake up in the mornings and regret something you did yesterday which upset somebody and it was unnecessary and you did it because you were trying to inflate your own ego or make yourself feel powerful or special, you are a loser.
OK, next one comes from Steve. This was on Twitter. As doctors are baffled by your heart miraculously repairing itself, will you be leaving your body to medical science?
Well, if the doctors want my body for medical science, they can have it. All I would say is I'm not sure that I've got a lot to offer in that direction. I was very happy to read a piece this week that we are closer than ever to allowing doctors to take organs out of people who die, sadly, in hospital without seeking the permission of the nearest relative. Yeah. And that's something I would advocate, absolutely. I'd also advocate that you have to take a donor card which says you can't have my organs, rather than a donor card which says you can. I totally agree. If anybody wants anything out of my body, they can have it. As to whether it be of any use to anybody else, I don't know. But I don't mind anybody trying.
OK, now here's one from Mike. You must have been listening to your chat with Sandra earlier on. He's in Ealing. Yes. He says, "Hi, Mike. So I'm off to Australia on holiday later this year. What advice can Mr. Parry give me if I'm swimming in the sea and come face to face with a 7-metre-long great white shark that isn't mechanical?"
If I were you, Matt, I'd start saying your prayers, because, and that's not my advice, that's Sandra. Sandra said you will not survive an encounter with a 7-metre-long great white shark. Right. They're killer beasts. They are trained to be killer beasts. They don't necessarily want to eat humans, but if you've got a wetsuit on, so you look like a seal, they'll grab you because they think that you're food. And they might grab you anyway because they might be hungry and they might be investigatory. What I would say is you will have a great holiday in Australia, but if I went to Australia, and it wouldn't matter which beach I was on, whether it was Bondi Beach or any of the famous beaches around Sydney Harbour, you wouldn't get me in the water for love nor money. Don't go swimming if you go to Australia if you want to keep your legs.
No, I think I would say exactly the same thing. Brian says this on Facebook: "I found £50 in the street. Do you think I should use it to get bladderated?"
No, you should try and find the owner of the £50.
Well, how does he do that?
Well, look for it or take it to the police station, but do not put it in your own pocket. Do not take it. It's not your money, that's somebody else's. Just imagine if that £50 belonged to an old lady who dropped it when she was trying to put it back in her purse or something like that, and then cannot buy fuel for the rest of the winter. You must always play it by your conscience.
Are you sure?
I'm absolutely certain. I've never put money in my pocket that wasn't mine. One time, I was walking along the street and I saw a £10 note literally on the pavement floating around. I assumed that could have been a trap. I assumed somebody could have had a camera in a window nearby to see what the general public do about it. I walked straight past.
Did you?
Yes.
Very interesting. Rich says this: "Porky, what decade of your life have you enjoyed the best so far and why?"
Well, I've enjoyed every decade of my life because I see life as a challenge. A challenge is taking life and head-butting it, right, until it gives in under the pressure of your determination to get things right. However, I did find the years between 20 and 30 extremely good, and that was because I didn't have any responsibilities other than doing the job I was paid to do, i.e. that was a job just reporting. I wasn't doing anything else. The minute I was given responsibility in this fantastic world of the media, I have had a life full of angst and endeavour ever since. Never been happier since I was between 20 and 30.
OK. Rodney says this on Facebook: "I'm looking to stop smoking and wondering if Porky can give me any tips from when he stopped, like he keeps saying." Well, I know might be referring to some pictures that have emerged recently of your smoking activity.
No, the point is, I never smoked. If I smoked at all, it was, like you having a bar of chocolate when you just fancied one, if you see what I mean. It doesn't mean you're addicted to chocolate, but you quite fancied a bar of chocolate. The only time I ever smoked was when I, was with some friends or something. Somebody says you'll go outside and have a cigarette. Thought that'd be quite nice. Postprandial, a cigarette is not a problem at all. But I have never smoked, so I can't give you advice on how to smoke. All I can tell you is that, if you do go on smoking forever, you will eventually suffer from it, your health will suffer, and it'll put you down. Just try and give up. My mum gave up. She smoked Woodbines from the age of about 14 till she was about 40. She hasn't smoked now for the last 45 years.
Now, here's one of a football nature from Neil, who says, "What do you think of Naismith signing for Norwich, Porky?"
I think Naismith's an extremely good guy. Naismith, apart from being a professional footballer, has a great social conscience, and at Christmas he was up in Scotland, near to where he was brought up, and he was dishing out free lunches on Christmas Day. He is a man with a great social conscience. He'll be a great asset to Norwich. In addition to that, he scored a hat-trick for Everton this season when he came on as substitute he came on early in the game, 5 or 6 minutes. He's a terrific player. He's a terrific guy.
OK. Here's one from Tex who says, "Porky, have you bought a spiraliser or a Nutri-Bullet or any other newfangled healthy eating kitchen gadgets?"
No.
I'm not sure what either of those are.
I don't know what a spiraliser is. I thought a spiraliser was one of these things that kids use to make patterns on paper with pens.
That's a spirograph.
Well, spirograph. I'll have to say that sounds like the same sort of thing. And the other one's what? A Nutrifier. I don't. Is it a Nutrifier?
I think I put the question away, but you've never heard of it.
I don't know. Does it crush nuts and all that kind of stuff?
I don't know what it does.
I don't know.
I have no idea.
Okay. Can't help. Sorry.
From Pierre, Porky, my wife is expecting our first child in April. Should I raise the child in the family tradition and make them support my team, which is Liverpool, or should I exercise free will and let the child choose whatever team they want to support?
I would not exercise free will for a child like that. I didn't have the choice of who I was going to support. Thank God my father just brought me into the world on the assumption that I was going to be an Evertonian. He wasn't going to let me be anything else. I thank him for that. That's the greatest thing he ever did for me. I never wanted to be anything else but an Evertonian. I never will. I would bring your child up as a Liverpool fan, because if you don't, how are you and your child going to share the wonderful experience of going to a football match together, supporting the same team? It's got to become a passion. It can only become a passion if it's your team from birth.
Now, there's a few questions which have kind of followed around the same kind of idea.
Yes.
This one is from Paul, who says, Porky, I was very touched by your proposal story last week.
Yes.
Shall I use your bolognese and black tower method or MG's caviar and champagne approach? Hashtag man of the people.
It depends what age you are, what your circumstances are. You've got to remember that the actual circumstances of a proposal are not dependent on the material aspect of your proposal. For instance, we've all heard the story about a man who's proposed to his wife with the ring pull off a can of Coke because it's been of the moment, it's been inspirational, it's been on the hop, so to speak, off the cusp and all that kind of stuff. And that's the thing to do. I think it depends much more on the emotional attachment between yourself and the person you're proposing to and the circumstances in which you do it. For instance, if you proposed in a meadow full of bluebells, which will be arising in a few weeks' time, or in a field full of daffodils, and the surroundings were wonderfully romantic and summery and delightful, that to me is far more romantic than saving up to buy a £12,000 diamond ring and getting into a restaurant with champagne and caviar.
OK. Here's one from Paul. Porky, I was at a job interview today, and the interviewer said, it says on your CV that you are quick at mental arithmetic.
Yes.
What's 17 times 19?
Yeah.
I immediately said 36, and he said, that's not even close. I said, I know, but it was quick. He says, would you employ me with that answer, or am I being too smart?
Oh, you'd be far too smart for me, mate. I would never employ you on that basis at all. If you said, hang on, give me a sec, I'll think it through and all that kind of stuff, then at least you're being pragmatic about it and you're addressing the problem. To try and make
you
out...
like a smart aleck, is what you're saying.
No, to make out you're a smart ass to any boss, I'm afraid you've lost the job already, because the last thing a boss wants is to be able to talk to somebody straightforwardly and have the little twerp on the other side of the desk trying to take the mickey. So I'm afraid that was a mistake.
Oh, OK. How about this one from Andrew? Sorry, no, it's not from Andrew. Sorry, from Eric. Porky, you're stranded on a desert island. You can have one CD or album, no compilations. Which one would it be?
The Beatles' White Album.
Would it?
No problem at all.
It's a double album.
It's a double album, so you'd get
Value
2
for
discs
money.
for one. Yeah, absolutely right. And I could play that over and over and over again, and I'd never get tired of it. If it was a compilation disc, it would be ABBA's greatest hits.
Yeah, but you're not allowed one of those,
no.
I don't think. Martin says, my missus cannot make the hen and chicken, so I've had to get a ticket for one.
Right.
I've always thought people alone were sad losers. Will everyone there think I'm a sad loser, or will I be OK?
No, you'll be fine, mate. You'll be absolutely fine. We'll wrap you in the warm embrace of the Two Mikes night. Remember, it's a viewing, it's not a live show anyway. And so what you'll be seeing will be the same interpretation that everybody else will have that night. Never be afraid to go and do it on your own. For years and years and years, I've gone off to football matches on my own because I support Everton, and I haven't had a girlfriend at the time or a partner at the time who wanted to come with me or something like that. And don't have any fear. There is a fantastic reality in independence if you've got the confidence to be independent. It means you can move in your own time, in your own space, and in your own environment. Don't have any fears about being on your own.
OK. Now, one final question is all we've got time for, and I'm going to ask you, it's a slightly silly question from Mark, which doesn't really have an answer. He says, if one synchronised swimmer drowns, do the rest have to do it too?
Well, I know what you're saying there, and that is that does the actual incident then need a response or a reaction? The answer is, if a synchronised swimmer dies, you get out of the pool and you drag the dead person out, you arrange a funeral and you get on with life.
Excellent. Thank you very much indeed. That was Ask Porky. Another edition closed for this week. There'll be one at the same time next week. Porky Vision, of course, tomorrow, with a promise to mention to Coronation Street, possibly War and Peace, and then a quiz on John Wayne on Thursday's show. This is TalkSport.
The Barclays Premier League on Talk Sport with Sky Sports.
Out comes the goalkeeper and he's lifted it over the top.
This Saturday afternoon from 5. Hear live exclusive national radio commentary of West Ham versus Manchester City on Talk Sport.
They just can't handle him.
The Barclays Premier League on Talk Sport with Sky Sports. Watch all 7 Sky Sports channels anywhere you like with Sky Go on your compatible mobile, tablet or laptop.
You sure those measurements are right?
Yes, I've checked them 100 times. It's 12 months public liability cover for the price of 10 with AXA.
Really?
Really. For a limited time only, get 12 months cover for the price of 10 with AXA. And you can tailor your cover to suit, so you only pay for what you need. To find out more, search AXA Trade. AXA. Business insurance that measures up.
Mean a lot.
Underwritten by AXA Insurance UK plc. Applicable to new business insurance customers and their first year only. Offer available for a limited time. Terms and conditions apply.
Bienvenue au weekend sports breakfast avec Michelle Quinn et Georgie Bingham. Sir Talk Sport with Benno Vance. It's the breakfast show that cooks up a souffle of sport and a pan au chocolat of pre-match build-up every Saturday and Sunday morning on Talk Sport. The hors d'oeuvre to another big weekend feast of football.
Hey, La, does anyone know the French for meat pie?
The Weekend Sports Breakfast with Mickey Quinn and Georgie Bingham. Saturday and Sunday mornings from 7 on Talk Sport with Benno Vance. 4 years warranty and roadside assistance as standard. Ooh la la.
Watch out! This just in from the sports desk.
It's all kicking off.
Oh.
Talk Sport.
More phone calls from the lost and found of free speech.
Outrageous opinion and controversial comment with the dual voltage dream team. The Michaels, Graham and Parry. He's back, is he?
Through the night until dawn's early light.
The 2 Mikes, Parry and Graham on Talk Sport.
Sit back in your old rocking chair. You need not worry, you need not care. You can't go anywhere.
Talk Sport, we are the 2 Mikes, as we said. Coming up tomorrow, it's Porky Vision, of course, and then the Porky Quiz on Thursday. We've got lots of tweets to read out to you. But one from Phil says, I'm sure Mike Parry said he would never donate his organs because he might need them in the afterlife.
Yes, I have said that in the past.
Yeah.
But I've now decided spiritually that was an erroneous
because you wouldn't really need
consideration.
your sort of earthly body parts or the rest of your body, really, would you?
No, you wouldn't, because it's left on Earth anyway.
Yeah.
So if you don't donate them, they rot.
Yeah,
or you burn them. You burn them in the crematorium.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is that what you think you're going to have done then? You're not going to be buried?
Oh, definitely not.
You're going to be cremated?
Oh, absolutely.
I didn't realise you decided that.
Oh, absolutely. My greatest fear in life is being buried alive.
Yeah.
So I'm not having that. So
buried alive?
Yeah, definitely.
Well, what about being burned alive?
No, well, you're not burned alive. Because...
Yeah, I know, but if they're going to bury you alive, that means you're not dead.
Yes.
But if they've already declared that you are dead,
yes,
and then you wake up and you've been cremated, wouldn't that be worse?
That happened, didn't it, a James Bond film, Diamonds Are Forever?
Well, that doesn't really mean it happened, though.
No, but I mean, that was part of the plot.
Yeah.
The thing is that the intensity of the flames inside a crematorium are so hot that you wouldn't last more than 5 seconds.
Right.
So it'd be, reasonably painful for about 5 seconds, and then...
Reasonably painful?
Yeah.
You're like excruciating?
Well, probably, yeah, but I mean, you soon get over it.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're buried alive, can you imagine spending the next 36 hours trying to escape from a coffin?
I'm not sure it would be that long, because you'd run out of oxygen, wouldn't you? You'd run out of oxygen unless there were, holes in the coffin. You'd run out of oxygen.
Well, if there were holes in the coffin, you'd run out of oxygen because you're surrounded by 6 feet of soil on either side.
True, yeah.
So, it wouldn't... But also...
I just think you run out of oxygen pretty fast.
Yeah, but there have been cases of people trying to claw their way out of coffins. I mean, it's bad. That's why the Victorians used to put a bell on your coffin.
Yeah.
So you could ring a little bell if you were still alive.
Right.
I've told my sister I want an injection of lethal poison on my deathbed.
Lethal poison?
Yeah, definitely,
As opposed to non-lethal
poison.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And the other
thing...
she's
not going to administer that. She's a nice woman. Why
no, I
want
her to. No, she will. She will. And the other
I'd do it for you if you want to nominate me instead.
No, you're so unreliable. You'd get bladderated on the day and stick the needle in the wrong body. No, the other thing is, I don't like the idea of rotting in a box 6 feet below the earth.
I don't like the idea of that either.
And then having worms crawling over my bones.
Yeah.
I just don't want it.
Yeah.
Don't like worms. Now then, that song there was about Shangri-La, right?
Yeah.
I got an invitation through the post the other day to go to the exhibition of Thomas More's Utopia.
Thomas More's?
It's at Somerset House.
Oh, OK. Somerset House is a fine spot.
And that's where they turn it into an ice rink, isn't it, in the winter? So they might be doing that next week.
I'm not sure if the ice rink is now... I think after sort of Christmas and New Year, it gets taken down, doesn't it?
Does it? Well,
and also, I mean, they might have put them back up again, but I know that there was a few ice rinks that got removed because the weather was too warm and they were all melting.
Yeah. Now, do you know much about Utopia?
Not really, no.
I didn't even know it was written by Thomas More, did you?
No.
Thomas More, in fact, was the guy that Henry VIII put to death because he was his Chancellor, which was a different role to Chancellor these days. It meant Prime Minister, so to speak, you know, and he wasn't doing the right job.
Yeah.
So, and he was actually Sir Thomas More, wasn't he? And
I imagine so, yeah.
He got his head chopped off for refusing to recognise Henry VIII's newfangled divorce-friendly Church of England.
Yes.
And, mind you, More himself was no angel. What More used to do is he used to burn people to death.
Right.
He said beheading was too good for some people, so he used to tie them to the stake and burn them alive.
Difficult times.
And I tell you what, there were two ways of burning people alive, you know.
What's that?
And Joan of Arc fell foul of this. If you were tied to the stake... And if they wanted to make it quite painless...
We haven't had any words on torture for a while, so I'm looking forward to this.
No, that's right. If they wanted to make it quite painless, they would put the brush, you know, and the firewood and all that around you, right up to your neck.
Right.
And then they douse it in a bit of sort of animal fat.
Right.
So that it went up very quickly. And you got consumed by it quite quickly. I mean, it wasn't painless, actually.
I don't think it would be painless at all.
Because your face melted.
Yeah.
That was one consequence of being burned alive at the stake. It wasn't very nice. But what they used to do, if they wanted to make it more painful for you, they just put, like, low-level brush, only a foot high, around the stake and around your body.
Right.
And then you actually cooked alive to death, which was very painful.
Yeah, horrible. Why are we talking about this?
Well, because this is what Sir Thomas More used to do.
Utopia to me.
Now, Sir Thomas More wrote Utopia.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't realise that. He wrote this book, OK?
Yeah.
And do you know it's been going on... It's the reason there's an exhibition is that it is the 500th anniversary of the publication of Utopia.
OK.
Now, I didn't even know they published books in 1516, but they do.
Of course they did.
Now, the thing is...
the illuminated manuscripts?
Eh?
The illuminated manuscripts.
The illuminated manuscripts, yeah. Now, the point is, what I've only just discovered, I did some research on it, I thought if I'm going to see this exhibition, I want to know what it's all about.
Yeah.
Do you know that many people believe that the modern Labour Party, and in fact, the Communist Manifesto, and the works of Lenin and Marx, and Joe Stalin, and Tolstoy, not Tolstoy, and who's the guy who invented the Molotov cocktail? Molotov, and all the, no, don't laugh, and all these people, including Chairman Mao.
The Molotov cocktail book.
And Chairman Mao, all based their political theory on Utopia. Did you realise that?
I didn't know that, no.
You see, when
At least I might have known it, but it's so long ago that I would have read that I've forgotten.
No, you see, the thinking was Thomas More wrote the book thinking, I want to create the perfect world.
Yeah.
But the perfect world turned out to be a world in which everybody's equal.
Yeah.
And that's the basis for communism.
Of communism and socialism, right?
It says the most shocking thing about...
There's nothing wrong with that in theory, of course.
What?
There's nothing wrong with that in theory.
The most shocking thing about Utopia is it turned out to be a left-wing mantra.
Yeah.
It says, in fact, even a modern-day Jeremy Corbyn, this is some research I've done, it might find it a bit too militant.
Right.
It states there should be no money, right, in Utopia.
Yeah.
No private property.
Right.
Housing
is... The problem with all of that is that the state owns everything.
Well, hang on. Housing is nationalised. Agriculture is collectivised. There is no unemployment. Medicine and education are free at the point of use. The welfare state reigns supreme. Sir Thomas More railed against the rich who corner markets and create monopolies, and noblemen who live off the labour of their tenants, bleeding them white by constantly raising rents.
Yes.
Now,
that must ring a couple of bells in your department.
Say again?
The renting scenario.
Yeah. When
yeah.
What?
Well, you're part of that renting scenario, aren't you?
Yes, but that's because I want to keep the British economy vibrant.
Right.
Yeah.
OK, well, as long as that's the main reason.
Now, it says that when Karl Marx came round to writing Das Kapital, which, of course, is a very famous book. You've
Das
heard of
Kapital,
that. Das Kapital.
Yeah. Das Kapital. He wrote it here, didn't he?
Yeah, was he German then, Marx?
Karl Marx, yeah.
Oh, I thought he was Russian. No, he was German, OK. So when he wrote Das Kapital... it was based on the Utopia book.
Right.
I don't see how you can ever have justice or prosperity. This is a line out of Das Kapital, right?
Why do you keep calling it Das Kapital like it's some kind of washing powder?
No, that's what it's called.
It's Das.
All right. I do not see how you can ever have justice or prosperity so long as there's private property.
Yeah.
And everything is judged in terms of money. The one essential condition for a healthy society is the equal distribution of goods, which I suspect is impossible under evil capitalism.
Yeah. Well, he's probably right about that.
Thankfully...
I mean, as we saw just the other day, did we not? What is it, the 100 richest people in the world have got more and more wealthy over time. And, everybody else is getting poorer.
The 100 richest people in the world own half of the world's wealth.
Something like that, yeah.
That's incredible. 62 billion.
Yeah.
Right,
well,
now
so
then.
that's stemming from what Thomas More was saying then.
What?
What do you mean, what?
What do you mean?
Well, did you not hear what I said?
Yes.
I said, well, it has something to do with what he's talking about.
Yeah, but I mean, Thomas More was Henry VIII's Chancellor. He wasn't supposed to invent communism.
Why not?
But it appears that he invented communism.
Well, he was obviously a great thinker.
Well, it says here, right.
I mean, Henry VIII didn't say to him, I'm going to make you my Chancellor, but there's only one thing you must never do, and that's invent communism. They didn't know that communism was going to be invented.
He did invent communism. Now, the thing is that... it says here in a review of Utopia, you don't need to be a Marxist to think we might get a lot more done if we only worked a 6-hour day, or that it might be a good idea if laws were simplified so people could understand and practice those laws without constant recourse to lawyers.
Yeah.
So they're basically saying the capitalist system is flawed.
It is. But so is every other system, unfortunately.
Yeah, in Utopia, More hit out at career politicians...
Yeah.
So any
he's got a point there.
Any utopian who tries to get elected, in Moore's book, should be banned forever from public office for having ambition.
Yeah.
I mean, this is ludicrous
Why
rubbish.
is it ludicrous? I quite like that.
Yet he doesn't advocate outright anarchy. He says so long as they don't really want the job, elected mayors are okay.
Yeah.
They do it as duty rather than because they feel themselves important.
But then if they're doing it as duty, the difficulty is they might not do it very well. But the trouble is, if they're doing it for their own self-importance, they also might not do it very well.
That's right.
So there is no perfect solution, is there?
Well, I think there's a perfect solution.
What's that?
I think capitalism works perfectly.
No, it doesn't.
It does.
It does not work perfectly at all.
If you can create a wealthy society, everybody within that, you can. Everybody within that society lives well.
But we don't live in a wealthy society.
Listen.
I've just told you, 60 richest people in the world own half the world's wealth.
Right, OK.
How is that a wealthy society?
All right, let me say this to you. In the 15 years after the First World War, or certainly in the 10 years after the Second World War, this country was impoverished because we immediately nationalised everything and gave state control to a broken country.
In the years after the war?
In the years after the war.
Do you see how the people were living in the 40s and 50s?
Yes, they were living in terrible poverty.
Exactly, yeah. That was before nationalisation.
The Gorbals.
That was before nationalisation.
Hang on, let me just finish. The Gorbals in Newcastle. The biker, in Glasgow. The biker wall in Newcastle. The East End slums. But since the revolution happened in the mid-70s...
People are not living in that kind of poverty anymore.
Of course they're not, because capitalism was encouraged. And the thing about capitalism, it drags everybody's...
It wasn't anything to do with capitalism.
It drags up everybody's prosperity.
No, that was nothing to do with capitalism.
It was.
That was to do with state spending.
No.
The state spent a massive amount on the welfare state, on building houses for people, on getting people out of poverty.
But where do you think state spending comes from?
It comes from borrowing money.
No, it doesn't.
As we now found out.
Well, it doesn't, because we don't borrow money anymore. That happened under the last...
We borrow more money now than we did in the last government.
That happened under the last Labour government, and we very nearly went bankrupt.
Yeah. Well, the Tories are borrowing even more.
What you have to do is you have to create wealth, you have to generate wealth, you have to make a country prosperous.
And then take it all back from the state and spend it.
It's called trickle-down economics.
Yeah, it's not called capitalism.
If I've got a nice car, I've got to employ somebody to wash it. If I've got a nice flat, I've got to employ somebody to clean it and keep it going.
Yeah, that may be trickle-down capitalism because there's water involved. But what we are dealing with here is not capitalism.
If I've got a second home, somebody's got to build that home for me to buy, OK? Yeah. It's called trickle-down economics.
Doesn't make them any richer, though. Now, Craig in Eastbourne says this. Porky, takes 8 hours to cremate a body. I know because I've done 1.5 tonight. And that's Craig in Eastbourne Crematorium. I'm just going to leave you with that thought because I know that'll freak you out. This is Talk Sport.
Look at the light! Then the guy ran in with a very, very strange look on his face and shouted out, and everybody suddenly fled the Bedouin tent. Right. But I was still jumping down on the bed. cars have to have engines or else they're not proper cars, are they?
If you love the Two Mikes podcast, you'll love the live show. Weekday overnights from 1am on DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM and via the TalkSport app. TalkSport, your Premier League station with exclusive commentaries every weekend.
What an absolute corker!
TalkSport.
Don't go swimming if you go to Australia if you want to keep your legs.